What is up, fam? It is Tuesday night, which means Birds of a Feather is live on a2dradio.com, coming at you on the site, on Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook. We're talking Eagles, Rams. We're recapping this week. Scanzano Sports poll question this week, fam. The game ball for the Eagles win goes to Doug Peterson, Avonte Maddox, Alshon Jeffrey, Fletcher Cox. Anybody else you want to go over? We'll have that conversation. Chrome and Chucks over here with Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos. Huge win this week, guys.
Huge.
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 We come back. We go into L.A. We storm into that shithole of a Coliseum, and we walk out with a much-needed W on a week where we also saw the Cowboys get shut out. Huge for us.
Huge.
On a week where we saw Carolina lose.
Huge.
Huge. Unfortunately, we didn't get the help we needed from Miami against Minnesota, but lots to talk about, lots to recap. I was there. I'll share in some of that fun as we go along as well. We're going to answer the poll question, though. I'm going to let you guys kick it off here. We're going to have we're going to let Mr. Chucks here kick it off, buddy. Who's your game ball going to?
Absolutely Avonte Maddox. Are you kidding me? He, in this game against the Rams,
dude balled out, man.
It was the single best game any corner of our team has played in any game all year. Easily. And I say that with confidence. Dude was all over the receivers. I think his stat line was that he gave up one catch for 8 yards, something like that. It's something similar to that. But regardless, all over the field, and coverage was excellent. Run support. How many times did he come up and tackle Todd Gurley? And you're like, holy crap. Like, this guy is fearless. And for someone who's 5'9", I guarantee you, the Rams felt like he was 6'3".
He played a lot bigger than
the
his
Rams
stature
were seeing
shows,
a
for sure.
6'3" corner there locking down that side of the field. And he's just – the development – I don't know if you guys remember in the offseason, I picked him as the most intriguing draft pick for the Eagles because with someone with his physical attributes, if he could develop, I had said he would be a very interesting piece to our secondary. But the thing is, I didn't expect him to develop this quickly, but he definitely did. He was amazing. Like what he's been able to do in his first year in the league. Think about it. He's gone from being the slot corner in the preseason, being groomed to be the slot corner, not the starting slot corner, but developed to be the future slot corner.
Mm-hmm.
A few games into the season, he is put at safety because of the injured Rodney McLeod and because Corey Graham sucks. And then now he's being put in a spot where he has to play outside corner. So he's literally played every single secondary spot for us all year. Every single spot he's been at. And he's excelled. He struggled early on like at safety because, he's learning a new position, but he wasn't bad. He wasn't nearly as bad as Corey Graham. And then he comes in and he plays the best any of our corners. And I'm talking about Jalen Mills, Ronald Darby, Rasul Douglas, Sidney Jones, better than any of them I've ever played all season. It is awesome to see. And I think this guy, I know a lot of people want to talk Nick Foles, and understandably so, because, he came in and he did his job. Mm-hmm. But to me, the highlight player is Avonte Maddox.
Yeah. And before I give my answer, and again, you have to forgive me because I'm suffering from some jet lag right now, but I have to, of course, give some love to the sponsors. Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours. GibsonMayer.com, and Specialized Physical Therapy found in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. Find them on the web, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. My apologies for that. Again, I've been go since Friday, so and then right back to work today. But anyway, no, to me, I agree. Avonte Maddox is probably the individual standout of this game for every reason that you gave. Really, the whole defense stepped up. I mean, the front line got pressure big time in this game. It's the best game, I think, defensively we've seen this season. And, he did play a hell of a lot bigger, Avonte Maddox, than his stature would show for sure.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Probably the best game that we've seen from an individual defensive back or cornerback this season as well. I mean, huge game. And that's a potent offense. I mean, you got some wide receivers. Even without Cooper Kupp, there's a lot of weapons on that football team.
Absolutely.
But, again, you have to give credit, to the defensive line. I mean, this is now 2 games in a row for Jared Goff. He's got 0 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions in the last 2 football games.
And he's struggled even before that against the Lions.
Yeah.
So don't forget that. I mean, ever since the bye week, the Rams haven't been the same. And we've been watching Jared Goff. I mean, he was in talks about being in the MVP discussion. Like, I didn't think he was one of my top 3 candidates, but people were mentioning him, and he was playing at a very high level. But now we're seeing a totally different player. He's not seeing the field as he was earlier. He's not throwing guys open as he was earlier, and he's very hesitant in the pocket. And we see that. He's got happy feet.
Yeah. And over on the book, Frank Vespi says, "Hey, yo, I have the same sweater as Chuck's. Sorry to bother you at work. The defense really saved Jim's job on Sunday." I mean, absolutely. Crooked Letter, he says, "Split the game ball between the run game and the defense, and not just Maddox." I agree with that. The run game, again, was very good this week as well. We talk about it every week. You want to be able to throw the football, you need to set the pace with the run game as well. You need to make them respect that passing game.
They committed to it.
Respect that running game to open up the passing game. Tom Arnone, he says, "Yo, fam, let's go. Let's continue to keep the season alive. Facebook wouldn't let us allow the 4th option, which was Fletcher. That's who I'm going with." Again, I agree. The defensive line was able to keep Jared Goff off balance and really set the tone, and I think that did put the defensive backs in a position to succeed as well. Crooked Letter says Douglas has balled out since the defensive injuries, making big stops on crucial downs. He's been playing very well as of late as well. And you know, for a guy who's had his struggles, even particularly this season, you know, and coming off of that Dallas game and making that big play at the end of the game, which unfortunately on an unlucky bounce did not go his way, and you can see how kind of down he was about that play. He came back out this week, had a really good ball game again, didn't let it really carry over, which is huge because how many times have we seen these guys? You start getting into a rut, and it's almost like a downhill slide. So it was good to see him bounce back this week. And I do agree with Frank that, you know, the defense is making the case, whether we like it or not, for Jim Schwartz. If they can continue to play at this level through the end of the season, there's a case to keep him around for next year. I don't know. I mean, jury's still going to be out for Mike Rowe. And listen, Nick Foles had a really good football game. Let's not. You know, I'm not going to sit here and pour out on Nick Foles like all the truthers out here who basically make it sound like it's Nick Foles and everybody else was just on the field.
Yeah.
Because that was not the case. A lot of people had to contribute. And I will say they game planned very well for Foles as well. It was the best game we've seen from him this year. You know, we watched how he played the first 3 games. Very, very slow start for him. So it was nice to see him step in and be able to pick up where we really needed him to. And I did feel like he lifted the offense. And I've said it, the RPO style offense fits him a lot more than it does Carson. And I thought that he played very, very, very well. Thomas says, it's just funny how this team's better once nobody believes. We've always been good when there's some adversity. There's been adversity this year, but not adversity in terms of, like Tom said, people being down on them and critical and this and that. You know, this team, when their back's against the wall and nobody believes in them, they did it last year. They do seem to play a little bit better with a chip on their shoulder, and maybe that's what we've seen. Tom says best team win of the year. Easily agree with that as well. This was an all-around win. Best game I've seen anybody play. Or I've seen this team as a unit play this season. Nicky chimes in. Nicholas says anyone getting a hard-on for Foles needs to realize Jeffrey just replaced Ertz in the game plan. Nobody else in the offense showed up. aside from the offensive line. Would you agree?
I think people still, in terms of the game plan, I think, yeah, the Foles definitely made more of an emphasis to target Jeffrey, and that's true. But it's not as though Ertz wasn't getting targets either. So in that aspect, I kind of agree, but kind of don't. I think that you got to look at one. They ran the ball half the time, so the targets are going to be down.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I think it was like 32 pass attempts for Foles.
Mm-hmm.
Ertz still got like one less than Alshon or something like that.
Yeah,
So it wasn't as bad as like Alshon got more catches. Ertz just he had remember in the first quarter he had those two passes that they couldn't connect on where it looked as though it was the one incomplete pass where Foles missed him in the end zone. It sailed high. I don't know. I went back and I rewatched all of Foles' passes, and I don't know if that was necessarily Foles' fault. So I will be fair on that point. I don't know if he thought that Ertz was running a corner because Ertz looked like he was running more of an out, so he flattened his route more. So I don't know if that's miscommunication or whatnot. So I don't know. But
Nick said Tate still no-showed. Foles has had 270 yards, 160 to Alshon Jeffrey, 30 carries for 100 yards.
Yeah. So it wasn't like the running game like gashed them because it wasn't like we weren't ripping off big play after big run after big run. But the difference was that Doug committed to it.
Yeah.
He committed to the run and kept with it even when it wasn't gaining like huge yardage, which is what we haven't seen all season except for maybe the Giants game. That was the only other time I can recall where he committed to the run. And so I think for Ertz and Alshon, it wasn't so much that Ertz wasn't getting looks. He was. It's just that less targets overall. And I think that when you don't run the ball when you don't pass the ball as much, obviously you're not going to get as many looks for any of the other wide receivers. I think everyone else, the running backs, the wide receivers, they played fine. I think that the game plan was it is what it was. I went back when I was watching the film, and I charted all of Foles' completions and actually attempts too. Out of the 32 pass attempts he had, 4 were deep, 4 were in the intermediate level, and 23 of the 32 were short. So that's quick math, that's like 75% roughly of his pass attempts were like around like 10 yards or less. So you could obviously, that's where the game plan was different. If you go back and you chart Wentz's stuff, I guarantee you're going to see an uprise in the intermediate levels of the field where Wentz attacks 15 to 25 yard that area, but Foles constantly dump off. And I'm not bashing him. I'm just saying what happened. This is just what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably where Doug said, "Hey, if it's not there, just dump it off." And he said a lot of the play designs, a lot of play calls were pass to the flat, screen pass to the flat, quick out. So that was the game plan, and that was totally different than what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
But as Doug said, and Doug admitted in the press conference, they wanted to get back to basics. They wanted to simplify things for this offense and for Nick Foles.
Yeah.
So that's a fact. That's not even me making an excuse for Foles. That's me saying what they actually did.
Yeah, Tom says, Thomas Arnone says, I don't care who's catching the ball as long as we get the first downs, LOL. It does not need to gash. It needs to work for play action. Yeah, and I mean, listen, the game is effective. They're getting 5 or 6 yards every run. It's you don't have to rip off the big one. You're constantly moving the chains.
You definitely don't.
And Mike Riccozzi, I hope I said your name right, buddy. He says, which means that the drives are being put together. And I think that is contributing to the fact that, you're getting 5, 6 yards in chunks, dumping the ball. You're sustaining longer drives as well. And Nicholas, who, by the way, Nicholas was at the game with me in L.A., he says that's good for another Eagles first down. The third down play calling was good, and the receivers went behind the yard to gain. Tom Olson, he says he uses his check down smart, stay ahead of the chains. Torrance Lewis says, I'm sorry, Torrance. He says Foles spread the ball around. I mean,
He did because that was
270 yards, 160 yards to Alshon Jeffrey. He found other guys.
Yeah, I don't.
But it's tough to say he spread the ball around with that kind of discrepancy in a single player.
Especially if your most of your passes, like I said, are dump offs short. You're going to spread the ball around.
Sure. Mike said, I think he's saying I got his name right. Torrance Lewis says short passes and running. Mike Rain, it was the whole team, guys, not just Foles. Let's get these last 2 wins. Tom says team win, team win.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And I have to say, early in the show right now, what I'm very happy to hear from the fam, and we'll go over and get some of the YouTube ones as well. But what I'm really, really happy to hear so far is I expected us to come on and hear Foles this and Foles that. It seems like whether it's allowing things to digest a little bit. And listen, I mean, Nicky played a good game. But coming out of that game, it was everything is Nick Foles. And that's frustrating.
Nauseating, man. Come on.
It's frustrating.
That's a disrespect to everyone on that team.
I'm so happy to see that the fam is kind of together on this so far to this point anyway, that it was an overall team win. Nick's a huge part of that. Alshon Jeffrey, huge part of that. Avonte Maddox, huge part of that. Fletcher Cox on the defensive line, huge part of that. Russell Douglas, huge part of it. A lot of people contributed to this win, including the coaches. Great game plan coming in against one of the absolute forces in the league right now. James Wilder says team win. Tom says best game from the defense all year. Agree with that. Thomas Olson says, why do you think you saw a lot of Smallwood? He can keep the linebackers honest. Plus, I was there as well. You were at the game. Nice, buddy. It was
nice.
You have to tell us about how your experience was. We had a damn blast. It was an electric atmosphere. A lot of Eagles fans there. We, for the most part, most of the LA fans were pretty cool, except for the schmuck behind us after. He was fine until the end. I'll talk about that later. But we had to embarrass him in front of his kid. Well, he was an asshole opening his mouth. Mike Riccozzi says Bennett 9.5 sacks. Michael Bennett has been an absolute beast this season.
Oh my God, yeah.
He is easily, in my opinion, overall on the defensive MVP this season for the Eagles. Absolutely. Tom says we're smart over at A2D. No agenda, but fly. Tom Rain says all 3 sides were a lot better. Agreed. Man, they were really clicking on a lot of cylinders this week. James Wilder says O-line didn't give up sacks. Defense didn't give up the lead. Coaches called a balanced offense. Foles kept it together. Aside from one pick, it was nearly perfect. Nicholas Eugene says defensive line put pressure on Goff, made mistakes, didn't let Gurley burn them. Did go back into the fourth quarter prevent, which scared the shit out of us a little bit. I agree with that. I mean, I hate the fourth quarter defense or prevent. Tom says expose him, Chrome. It was simple. We had this guy and his kid behind us. Kid was probably 17, 18 years old. They were fine. They were nice. We were talking to him. He made one kind of smart remark because after the Eagles scored a touchdown, we sang the Eagles fight song. We had a ton of Eagles fans in our section. So he's like, oh, why would you sing that? Yada, yada, yada. And we're like, well, when we're home, because we didn't do it after the field goal. He said at home, they play it after the touchdowns. So he's like, oh, okay. And then he was fine, talked to him a little bit, whatever. When the game was now done, the Eagles kind of essentially sealed it. He got up to leave, and he started running his mouth. Like not like playfully, like being a douche running your mouth. So now it got to the point where we're like, dude, you waited a whole time to open your mouth and start talking. Just go home. And he kept running his mouth. So now we're like, dude, you're embarrassing yourself in front of your kid. And honestly, you should really just keep talking because all you're going to do is bury yourself, and you're going to get even more embarrassed in front of your kid if you don't shut your mouth. We just took over your house. Go home. You're done. This is our house now. And there may have been some other things. And he did. He walked away. And he was still trying to chirp, but he walked away. He had nothing to say. And I told him, you're an embarrassment to your kid right now just by opening your mouth and making a fool of yourself. And we were very nice to this guy the whole time. We weren't like obnoxious or any of that bullshit. So, yeah, back over here. Thomas Olson says, I live in San Diego because of work. I love going to games in L.A. I'm going to the Rose Bowl. Were you a part of that San Diego bus trip that was down there? Because I did meet up with them. I got a couple friends that live in San Diego, so let me know if you are. Mike Rain says Bennett is a beast ×2. Haha. Tom Arnone says I'm just pissed it took us this long for a team win like this. Better late than never, dude. If they can put it together the next 2 games, it's better late than never. You just got to get in. Mark Kelleher, what's up, Mark? He says Bennett is definitely a beast. I hope they re-sign him. Well, they have him for another year unless they, they decide to make him a cap casualty. But the way he's played this year, I don't see that happening. Nick Eugene, he says he was making fun of us for not making the playoffs. That's what he started saying. Yeah, he's making fun of us for not making the playoffs. And then we kind of told him, we won, just go home. And that's when he kept running his mouth after that. And Tom Olson says they have no fan base in L.A. Nicholas Eugene says we reminded him who won the Super Bowl last year and who lost. We did. And who lost in the first round last year. We reminded him of that. And he says you were a little tuned up and don't remember.
Stuff,
There's a few details I don't remember.
Stuff.
Chrome, I don't remember not making the playoffs, though. I don't remember seeing
exactly.
Well,
that was what started it. That was how it was like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about.
I was going to say, did I miss something?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know what
James
that
Wilder
is.
says nice to Nick. And Tom Olson says, no, there's a Philly bar here. We went together. The bus was full. Okay, so that I know that there was a Philly bar there. I'm assuming it probably is the same one. They took the bus trip down. Like I said, I have friends that live in San Diego, so I actually met up with them for that tailgate for about an hour and a half. John at Malmus says, just focus on the Texans, #Texans, #Texans. Yeah. I mean, we're going to get it out of our system now and enjoy this win this week, and then we'll move on to the Texans after that.
YouTube is flying.
Yeah, let's get some YouTube in. I mean, the Facebook's flying. YouTube's flying. Let's get it going.
Yeah, Roska's saying, my Rams will bounce back this Sunday against Arizona Cardinals.
What happened, Roska? You trolled us all week telling us about how we were going to get smoked this week, buddy.
And you better bounce back against the Cardinals.
I'll tell you, Roska, I hope you're not a Crumb fan like some of those people I met. A lot of them were nice, but there were some real crumbs there.
Bryce Blackwell says Fletch went off. Team effort, good win. Max been a beast since University of Pittsburgh. He said Foles was solid. We still need to make offseason changes, but glad the team didn't quit. Foolish Demon says Foles has targeted Ertz 30 times this season. Wentz is a big play guy, almost to a fault, but you love seeing it. Watching Wentz throw last season, he made plenty of huge plays. He also
I
says
think
Flyers
so. I think we kind of talked about this earlier off the air in one of our chats, but the thing is, there's more. Wentz can do. He's more able to pull off those big plays.
Yep. There's
not the and this is not a knock on Nick, but they have to simplify things in a lot of ways. And the thing is with Foles, and anybody will tell you, a lot of the Rams fans we talk to there, he is probably the perfect backup quarterback that any team really could have. And when you have a complete game like we did this week, it puts him in such a great position to succeed because he can carry a game plan out and execute it almost perfectly, but you need to have all the other moving pieces in place to have that happen, which we didn't have the first 3 games this year, which is why you didn't see a whole lot of success out of Nick Foles through the first 3 games.
Yeah, and if you want to look at something, like it's after that interception, which swung him, that was a bad interception. And I'm being fair because you guys know that I was very critical of Wentz when he threw that interception against the Redskins deep in the red zone. So it's not like I don't call out Wentz for his bad mistakes either. But that was a huge momentum swing because we could have closed it out there, but didn't. That let them back in. And then those possessions, if you look in the fourth quarter, there was at no time where Foles was asked to take over and be aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
It was run, short pass by Foles. The one pass that Foles had where he tried to throw it a little bit, to the sticks, he threw Ertz high, and then it was almost picked off. And that was like the second to last possession. We were deep in our territory. And again, I charted a lot of stuff. Out of all there were 9 passes on third down.
Mm-hmm.
Out of those 9 passes, 6 of them went short of the sticks for Foles.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes to show you that Foles isn't the type of player that Wentz is in terms of he's not going to be aggressive. We constantly see on third down, whether it's third and long or whatnot, we always see Wentz throw past the sticks. He's trying to pick up that first down. Whereas Foles, he gets rid of it quick. He throws short and hopes one of the playmakers can make a play, which is fine, because if you know your capabilities, you'd rather be safe and just try to have your playmakers do something than to make a mistake. If he knows that he's not capable of throwing, doing those kind of reads, better be safe. And the coaches knew that, and that's why they had the game plan that they did. But people have got to realize that if you had Wentz in this game late in that fourth quarter, it's very possible that could have been, like, we could have just sealed it up earlier than what we did. And that's the difference between the two, where Wentz, you have someone who can close out a game, make things happen on his own. Foles is not that type of quarterback.
Well, a healthy Wentz.
A fully healthy Wentz.
Say we don't know if that would have happened this season, but any other time, I believe you're right.
But here's the thing, and this is something I didn't get to talk about last week after the Cowboys loss. What really was upsetting, not the only thing, but one of the things that's really upsetting is you finally saw Wentz with a game-tying touchdown drive, late in the fourth quarter. Like, what was the headline in the story weeks ago when we were losing?
Yeah,
Wentz can't come in clutch. He doesn't have a career-defining drive late in the fourth quarter. Well, Wentz did it technically twice against the Cowboys, but as we all know, the Cowboys got the first ball in overtime and scored a touchdown. So Wentz never got his chance to answer. But he's shown to be that type of quarterback who can do that kind of stuff. But no one talked about it because we lost the game. But in hindsight, Wentz did it. He finally had a game-tying signature drive.
Yeah, but I mean, we need to see more of it, though. And I agree, that was huge. That was huge for him. Ryan did have something he wanted to drop in. So.
Well, so we had a new listener, and he said it's the first time listening to you guys.
What's up, man?
Antonio. He says, when was the last time we played the Texans? Can someone answer that? And I figured it out. It was November 2nd, 2014.
Okay.
So I was just originally going to see if you guys know, but I
would not. No, I would not have known that. Couple more here. So Mark Kelleher says, I want to get in and play Dallas. I want to get in. I don't care who we play.
That's not happening.
Dallas has to get out of the first round themselves. But I don't care who we play. I'm going to be honest with you, brother. I mean, listen, we all love having revenge and all that. To me, I want to get in and play anybody and have a chance to win the football game. I don't care who we play. I'm not one of those I need to get revenge. I wasn't one of those, we have to get the Patriots because we have to get revenge for 2004. No, I really didn't care about that.
It'd be nice, but
yeah,
I mean, I'm
of
not
course.
Gonna be picky,
I mean, that's fun subplots if
Yeah.
it gets to that, but I don't bank on that or wish for any of that crap. Walter Keith, he says, if we do get to the playoffs, we need our defense to get healthy. I know not all the players will be healthy, but we need some key players back. Mike Rain says, I've never seen a better backup quarterback than Foles, hands down. It's a strong statement, and I mean, if you really go through, I mean, obviously, we'd really have to go through a lot of things. In fairness, on the grand scale of things, Foles has probably been one of the more successful. I mean, you can make an argument. I know it was like the 70s, but Miami also won with a backup quarterback when Bob Greasy went down. So, I mean, it's been done before, but Foles is damn good, man, in that role.
I was thinking about this on the drive up here. I was thinking, for years, even, when we were doing shows or even before that, I remember all of Eagles Nation just begging, can we just get one quarterback? Can we finally find one guy? Well, now we have two.
We have two, right.
We have two guys.
And
the city doesn't like it. It's like we waited years to have one, and now we have two. It's like, get this mother effer out of here. Like, now we can't handle it.
Thomas Olson, he says, can we give LeBlanc some love? He's playing good, and Douglas should get the game ball. LeBlanc, another guy who's played very well.
The fine wine, Cravon LeBlanc.
LeBlanc playing really well.
He said, Tom also says he's a top-tier game manager, talking about Foles. Wentz is a gunslinger. I don't know if I would say totally that. We haven't seen the game manager Wentz this year, though. I'll say that. Again, I go back to why are we running an RPO offense with Carson Wentz? It makes no sense to me. It takes a lot of the control out of his hands, which made him more successful.
Does he mean that Foles is the game manager and then Wentz is the gunslinger? When he tells he.
What's that?
Tom, the quote you just read. He meant like Foles is the game manager, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
James hates the NFL overtime rules.
I do too. By the way.
Mike Rain says the site Eagles Nation is nothing but a bunch of BS. Should be a complete opposite. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't go on there. But
I don't go on
Chucks,
there
if
either.
you want me to, there's so many.
Go ahead.
If you want me
Yeah.
to tag team it with
Go
you,
ahead,
if you
Let me
want-
give a quick shout out real quick
Yeah.
to a really great experience. If you're ever going to travel for a game, Green Legion, who I did their tailgate, and I've heard of them, but it's the first time I
Yeah.
did it. What a great experience. If you guys are looking to travel for a game and you're looking for a tailgate with fans from that city who travel from all over, and it is like a really awesome family atmosphere, but our version of a family atmosphere. Dude, they run an amazing tailgate. I just felt compelled to give them a shout out
Nice.
because it is a great experience. And I'm talking to people who have been doing it. They've been doing it for like 16 years. They run an amazing tailgate on the road. You guys have to check them out if you're traveling.
So cool. There's a lot of them. So I'm gonna skim through a lot of these here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if anybody's new watching on either Facebook, YouTube, anywhere, make sure you guys subscribe. We have a bunch of shows every single day. Because there's a lot of new names in here.
Yeah.
Cool P19 says the Cowboys will choke the last 2 games.
They didn't look good this week. They didn't look good this week at all.
Overconfident.
Even for the Cowboys standards, I think that's hard to do because they're playing Tampa and New York.
Yeah, I don't. They'll win at least one of them. At least.
Yeah, they'll probably. Yeah, I mean, I think that Giants game's going to be tougher.
Depending
than
on if
people are gonna
Odell
give 'em
plays.
credit for. Yeah, but it's a divisional game. Divisional games, even when teams stink in this division,
Close.
always
Yeah.
seem to play well, and upsets always seem to happen. So I'm not counting that by any means as an automatic. And I will say the Giants have played a lot better over the last couple of weeks.
Antonio Atrisco says a healthy Wentz is better than Foles. Foles can be hot or be cold. You never know with him.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think to go along with what we said earlier, I believe that for Foles to be successful, all the moving parts have to be clicking, or most of the moving parts have to be clicking. He's not a guy who's going to take over a game and win it on his own. Carson is a guy, when healthy, that can create plays, extend plays. If they're not running an RPO and let him make changes at the line. Carson's a guy that he's a game changer. He really is.
Yep.
So I think that's the differentiation there. If everything's clicking, the defense is clicking, Nick Foles is going to give you 100% is going to give you a chance to win any football game against any team in this league, and they proved it this week.
Michael Profound, in all capital
Michael?
letters, says the Texans will not win in Philly in December. It's a long way from the 75-degree dome.
It's a fair point. It's something to keep in mind. Absolutely.
It's not going to be a cakewalk, though.
No,
I mean,
gonna be tough.
I get the home field advantage kind of thing and cold weather. I understand, but it's not going to be a cakewalk. Regardless of weather, regardless of where it is, the Texans still have talent. That defensive line is something else. Their wide receivers are something else. And if we're not careful, we easily could lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
NX750 Gaming says, nice to see the team actually tackle this week.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
Tackled very well.
Let's see. Foolish Demon says, man, we beat the Texans and we're in. Yeah, as long as we handle our business week 17, we won't lose to Josh Johnson.
Yeah, please, God. Can't let that up either. Like Chrome just said, division games, no matter how bad, they can be close, so we can't even take that game for granted. Not when we've lost the way we've lost all season. There's no way we can overlook anyone.
He also says, I don't see Minnesota beating Chicago and Detroit.
I don't know. See, coming into this week, I thought Miami would be a lot tougher for them, and they kind of got out to a big lead. Miami made a run to get back into the game, and then the second half they just took over.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago's going to be a really tough matchup.
Yeah.
Chicago, and Chuck said, I hope that they're not resting guys, but I don't see Chicago passing up the opportunity to send Minnesota home.
Yeah.
This is their division. Nobody gave them a chance, except for this guy, to win this division. And now they have a chance to stand tall with Green Bay sitting at home and watching and Minnesota sitting at home and watching. And if you don't think that they're going to go full throttle at Minnesota in that final week, you got another thing coming. Detroit's going to be tough, too. In Detroit, divisional game, they always seem to have a knack for playing a tough game, even when they stink. against divisional rivals at home.
I mean, they beat the Carolina Panthers, which now doesn't look that big, but they also gave the Rams a very hard time.
Sure.
As well, for anybody, there's a lot of people that thinks the Bears are going to just settle down in Week 17. I don't think so, because if they're not fighting for the 1 seed, they're absolutely fighting for the 2 seed.
Yeah.
And they're also going to have to worry about Dallas.
Hopefully.
If Dallas finishes off the 2 weeks.
I hope that logically that does make sense, but we'll see. I mean,
yeah, I don't see them laying down and sitting a bunch of guys for nothing. Not in that game.
Hector Nation says, hi, guys. Hello, Hector
What's up,
Nation.
Hector?
Foolish Demon says, we absolutely own the Rams. Last time they beat us was 2004. Wow. The first year I became an Eagles fan. Well, look at you. It's because of you, Foolish Demon. That's why we give the Rams so much trouble.
It's my dude, Foolish Demon.
Michael Profound also says in bold capital letters, Deshaun Watson will face something he's never seen before. 60,000 maniacs in the cold. That's true.
Very, very true. It is an intimidating environment, and now there's new life breathed back into all those maniacs, because now this is going to be like a playoff atmosphere in Philadelphia this week.
yes.
Huge atmosphere.
Yep.
Hector Nation is on the Foles train. He says they should have kept Foles in there from the beginning. Wentz is a pretender.
Dear Lord.
Stop it.
I'm
Please
reading
don't
it
stop
because I knew we would have a couple
Stop
of
it.
these people
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
fine. Stop it.
Bird Gang says Foles throws deep ball regularly. What is this guy talking about? I don't know who he's talking about. Maybe somebody in the chat.
Yeah, probably.
Let's
Reading
see.
a few where there some people are saying that Wentz is always hurt. Wentz never throws a deep ball. Yeah, it just seems like trolls. I don't know.
Let's see. Gosh, these guys are flying in here.
Yeah.
If somebody say Hector Nation said I have never seen Wentz throw a deep ball ever. I guess you've never watched an Eagles game ever. Let's see. Bird Gang, he says, I'm an Eagles fan. I don't care if it's Wentz or Foles. Just get the job done. Foles has proven Wentz can't stay healthy. It's a no-brainer. If after Wentz comes back off his injury and goes down again, something needs to be done about it. I don't care how much you love him.
So let me ask a question. Foles is proven. Okay, listen. We got the 10 best quarters Nick Foles is ever going to play in his career last year. Nick Foles also gave us
We're going to get into
a good game this week. Are we going to ignore the first 3 games this year where he was mediocre at best?
First 2 games.
Are we going to, or 2 games, are we going to ignore the fact that aside from his rookie year, he was a very subpar quarterback, that he went to St. Louis and was a very, very underwhelming, lost his job to Case Keenum.
Of course they're going to ignore it.
Or the fact that he was a backup and really barely even saw the field in Kansas City. Like, come on, guys. Like, 3 games prove that he is an excellent backup quarterback and a very good option in this league. That doesn't prove that he's better than one of the best young talents in the league. A guy who had an MVP caliber last season. A guy who may have been playing with a fractured back longer than anybody even knew and coming off an ACL injury and put up better numbers in that time period of games this season. Like, stop it. Come on, guys. Like, let's get off this already. I mean, I love Nick Foles, but
I'm sure we all do.
enough with this
I'm
already.
sure we were one of the first shows, if I remember correctly. Refresh my memory if I'm wrong. After the Rams game last year, I believe Tom was here on our show, and we were talking about how we all believe that the Eagles can go run.
This is why
Because
we bought
had
Foles
Foles.
in,
This
and
is
we
why-
believe that if we were
We-
going to have a chance, he's the only guy that we could have had come in this situation. We
Because-
absolutely believe
And
that.
what did we also say? Because we believe that Nick Foles can do it, but we also believed in what? We believed that the team around him as a whole and the coaches were great enough to do it.
The
Correct?
fans of this
Yeah.
city
Yep.
love to live in the moment and run great players out of this town.
This is the thing.
That's what we have.
This is
this
one
is
of
what
my
it is.
This is one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to people watching football, is that they give the quarterback way too much blame and way too much credit and don't know how to separate the two. Stop putting so much onus on QB wins and QB losses. Stop. It's a stupid stat if you don't factor in everything else that the rest of the team does. Honestly, if you compare a against the Rams last night, where Foles played solid, and say he's automatically the better QB because he won last night, compared to a game earlier this year where Wentz played amazingly but we lost. You're going to pin that on Wentz. You're going to say Wentz is worse, even though he played better, had better numbers, all of it. You're going to say that Foles is better because even though he played only a solid game, he is the better quarterback, even though the rest of the team played better. Even though the rest of the team was so much better with Foles because they knew they had a limited quarterback passing the ball, and they needed to play better and step up their play because their franchise guy, who they expect to go out there every single game this year and be a hero, they expected him to go out there and make every play. He's not there anymore. So what? What does the rest of the team do? They go out there and be like, we need to step it up. So you're going to pin.
It's not even that. They need to simplify everything.
They simplified
in order
the damn
to put him in a position to succeed.
Win. So you had to take context into account. Anyone, this goes beyond just Eagles fans. Anyone that wants to use the stat QB wins, QB losses, don't even talk to me. Because you don't know what you're watching, you don't know football, and I will guarantee you, if you talk to any knowledgeable expert out there, they will laugh in your face if you try to bring up QB wins, QB losses, Foles won this. Stop. It goes deeper than that. It goes into my whole thing about stats. Look deeper than the numbers show.
Listen,
God, I'm so heated when this stuff could run up.
Listen, I talk to a lot of fans who live in other cities who are fans of other teams. I was out in California, which is a smorgasbord of people. They're all transplants. Mm-hmm. I talk to a lot of football fans about things. And a lot of them have gotten whim of this whole Carson Wentz and Nick Foles thing, and everybody looks at us and thinks that we're absolute idiots for entertaining the fact that Nick Foles is better than Carson Wentz. Thinks that we're absolute morons.
It's oh my God.
And I would have to tend to agree with that because it's the most it's so closed-minded, and it's not looking at the big picture. And you're right. There's so many factors. We talked about this game, and Nick Foles absolutely should get credit for the play that he had in this game. The coaches should get credit for the game plan they put in place to allow him to succeed. And the defense, and Avonte Maddox, and the defensive line that shut down Todd Gurley, that shut down Robert Woods, and shut down all these motherfuckers on this team. And, oh, by the way, made Jared Goff play like absolute dog shit again. Those guys helped to contribute. This is not a Nick. Carson has not had this kind of support all around from his team the whole season. The whole season.
Whole season.
And he's still almost and he did everything he could have possibly done for us to win that game in Dallas. It came, unfortunately, on a bad, a shitty bounce and some shitty play or shitty calls that changed the complexity of that game to start. And we lost. You know, you capitalize on mistakes. But that falls on Carson Wentz now, because Nick Foles came out the next week and won a game. So this is all the short memory. So let's do this, Philly. Let's run Carson Wentz out of town, and then when he becomes a Hall of Fame quarterback elsewhere, and you have Nick Foles for a year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever it is, and you're a mediocre team fighting for a wild card every year, we'll look back.
Hey, Bird Gang, you say wins and losses are all that matter. Who has better stats than Marino, and what is he known for not winning a Super Bowl? When you talk about team success, yeah, wins and losses. But by your standard, are you telling me that quarterbacks like Joe Flacco and Brad Johnson and Trent Dilfer are better quarterbacks than Dan Marino? Because Dan Marino doesn't have a damn ring?
That's right.
Get the fuck out of here. Seriously. It's so idiotic.
It's literally the same argument.
So idiotic.
He's right, though.
Oh, my
Chucks
God.
is right. Chucks is right. It's literally that argument.
Hey, Chucks.
Drives me nuts. It really does.
Ryan, what's your question?
Do you want me to ask that question?
Yeah.
Go ask that question.
Wait, let me see how much time we have. Yeah, we got 15.
While we're on the subject.
Go ahead.
So, I brought up, and this needs suspenseful music because it's a very important question.
You're hyping this up. This better be a good-ass question.
We're going to be like, this question sucks.
You might think that. So let me allow everyone to just put a hypothetical in the forefront here. And it's an extreme hypothetical. But if this happens, I want you to answer this, okay? If Nick Foles leads this team to another Super Bowl, I'll give you 3 options. Who is starting as the quarterback for the Eagles next season?
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz.
All right, well, that was not hard.
I don't know what.
I will
Oh,
guarantee.
my God, that was way too easy.
I
All right.
will guarantee you, when the season is over, if the Eagles win another Super Bowl, the first person that will tell you that Carson Wentz is the quarterback of this football team in 2019 will be Nick Foles.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, what happened? Say that again.
I said, I guarantee you the first guy who would say that Carson Wentz is the quarterback of this football team going into 2019 and beyond, it would be Nick Foles.
I agree.
I don't think it's even a question.
It's not a question.
Good.
I 100%
Very good.
agree. The
Good.
fact
You've
that
passed.
yeah,
You've
like
passed. Good.
it's it's so laughable. The thought and the comprehension that anyone would ever think that Foles is better than Wentz.
We got to stop.
It's so laughable.
This is all the same people who, when Nick Foles was here the first time, they ran him out of town and wanted to have a change of quarterback. Now all of a sudden, he's the best quarterback in franchise history.
They're the same people that wanted Sudfeld
One of the best
to start
quarterbacks in the league.
The first week
Yeah.
of the playoffs. Remember that? Remember those people?
Like, come on, man. Like, I love you guys. I do. But, like, take a step back. Look at the games. Look at the games he's won. It's not a Nick Foles effort. Carson Wentz, his first 2 years, carried us to a lot of wins on his own back. So let's just pump the brakes a little bit. That's all.
Pump the brakes a little bit. You need to pump the brakes a lot. You need to go in fucking reverse.
A lot of the people on YouTube said Wentz as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most ridiculous
Not
thing
all,
ever.
just a lot.
You got a quarterback who could be your franchise quarterback for the next 10 years, or you have a guy that, I mean, you couldn't even get a second or third round pick for him this year in the offseason. Like, come on. You might get 2 or 3 fucking first round picks for a Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I asked this in the group
There's
page.
nobody in this league that will tell you, anyone in the league, there's not an executive in the league that would tell you Nick Foles is better than Carson
Not
Wentz.
one. Not one. Not even one from the Browns.
The only
I guarantee you.
the only ones that would tell you that are ones who are trying to undercut the Eagles to pull off a trade
Yeah.
for him. That's about it.
Exactly.
Like, God. All right. Let's
It's
move
wrong.
on.
Go-
Let's move on.
Facebook.
Pootie
Look
Tang
on Facebook.
brings up a great point real quick. He says, if Nick Foles wins another Super Bowl, he'll retire.
It's not out of the question.
Possibly.
That would
Possibly.
just be so easy. Just be like, don't worry, Philly. I'm just gonna. I'll see the door. I'll show myself the door.
And again, I want to reiterate, after all this, we love Nick Foles.
Yeah, he's the best.
Oh my gosh! Like, how can you not?
I love
like,
Nicky.
what was his one?
I love
quote?
Nicky Six.
At
Big Dick Nick.
Post game, his one quote was like when they asked him, were you able to close the game out in the fourth? And what was his quote?
Oh,
By loving one another.
Loving one
Like,
another gets it done in the
that's such
fourth.
a mushy
I'm like,
quote, but I love it. I eat that shit up. I love it. You can't not root for both of them, but that's the thing. You can root for both of them and still be realistic about what they are as QBs and players. It's possible. Just stop with the one or the other. Stop with the just projecting Foles to be something he's not.
Hey, do you remember when we had another elite talent that was hurt for his first 2 seasons and now is an MVP caliber player and one of the potentially greatest players on track to be one of the best players ever at his
exactly who you're
position?
talking about.
Oh, that guy's named Joel Embiid.
Oh.
Everyone wanted to run him out of town real
Yeah.
quick.
I mean,
Come
like
on, guys.
every time there's a little like Aaron Rodgers just has injury issues.
Aaron Rodgers
Do
was
people
not very
wanna-
good this season either.
Aaron
Do
Rodgers.
people want to run
Aaron
him out?
Rodgers borderline stunk his first 3 years in
Yeah.
the league.
Yeah.
Borderline stunk, and then it all just clicked for him at one point. Like, come on, guys. That's it. That's all I got. I'm moving on. Walter Keith says, Foles has always done great with us. When we first drafted him, once Vic got hurt, he came, took over like he's been there forever, and can't forget the game that he threw 7 TDs against Oakland. Yeah, but he stunk after that.
Yeah.
But I know what he's saying. I mean, listen, this has been home for Foles. Everywhere else, it hasn't been that kind of same thing. And I love Foles. I will always love Nick Foles.
Yeah.
But I'm also realistic.
Yes.
I'll take the potential of an elite talent any day over the flavor of the month. Mike Rain says, fuck Odell. They actually fined Hill for his legs hitting Odell's on the last play of the game. Gave Hill over a $20,000 fine, which is insane. Tom Olson had said RPO is to get the quarterback easy throws. That's why, and he said that's why I said Douglas 11 solo tackles. James Wilder said after week 1 and 2, wasn't all Philadelphia screaming to heavens, send us Carson, save us from Foles. Absolutely, they were doing that.
Yeah.
Now it's reverse. LOL. Thanks for Foles saving us from Carson. LOL.
And I want to ask, people are like, the people that
You hit the nail on the head there, Wilder. Absolutely hit the nail on the head.
anyone that's like,
There's only one person, and whether I agree with him or not, Kyle on the Hooligans is the only one that has ridden the full. And I'll give him credit when he puts it out there. He'll ride that shit into the ground though. He's always, even after the fact, he's been on the Foles thing. Well, you don't have to, Chucks, but I'm going to give him credit for being someone that, whether we agree or disagree, he's going to ride it and stick to his guns. Kind of like you. You guys are more alike than you think.
Oh, it's cool.
Anyway.
Cool.
We got any more over on the tube?
Oh, we got
Oh,
plenty.
yeah. Let's
We
go
got
over to the
plenty.
tube now.
Let's go. Let's ride
Plenty.
over.
Let's quickly go over the tube.
Go plenty.
Mike Rain agreed 100%, by the way. Go ahead.
Antonio Atrisco says again, and a lot of all capital conversations in here. I like it.
There's
People
a lot of
fired up.
enthusiasm. I love it, guys.
He says again, a healthy Wentz is better than a healthy Foles.
Yes.
It's that simple, everyone.
It's literally the most simplest quote you could or statement you can make, because it's an absolute
Something so simple is so
100,000%
complicated
fact.
for people. So complicated.
Foolish Demon says the injuries are overblown. Wentz will be banged up every once in a while. He'll get over this.
There's plenty of Brett Favre played hurt his entire career. Literally almost his entire
Ben
career.
Roethlisberger.
It's football.
It's
look
football.
at Ben Roethlisberger.
That is
You
literally
wanna talk
what Carson
about,
was
Every week.
compared to.
You want to
Every
talk
week
about a
Ben
guy that
Roethlisberger
gets
is
hurt and
Every week.
constantly plays hurt? I mean,
He had a streak of 5
Oh,
seasons
my
where he
God.
missed at least 4 games.
Yeah.
Like, just do people recognize that?
But-
But no one would question giving him an extension.
no, because they don't follow football. They follow the Eagles. They don't look outside the league to understand that some of these great elite guys.
Great point.
Hey guys,
Great
Drew
point.
Brees. Drew
Great
Brees got
point.
ran out of town because he had a busted leg
And
out of
look what
San Diego.
happens.
He went to the Saints and is one of the greatest
He's a
fucking
Hall of
quarterbacks
Famer.
of all time. He might get his second Super Bowl ring this year with the Saints. But
But yeah,
I digress.
because he's injury prone.
This is Chrome, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, with jet lag. This is jet lag.
I
Chrome.
needed this because I didn't know I was going to get through the show with
Oh
the
my
jet
God.
lag. So I love it. Keep getting us fired up. I love it.
Pootie Tank says we'll run Wentz out of town, and somewhere Jerry Jones will get his hands
Oh
on
my
him,
God.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
doubt it.
and we'll end up with freaking Prescott
Or
in 2
he-
years because
God.
Foles will be hurt or something
Or-
just stupid. You know what I mean? Because everyone forgets that
I
Foles
kill
has gotten hurt
myself.
before. Everyone forgets
Yeah.
that.
Hey, listen.
Foles got hurt.
Listen. He could walk in 2 years. There's another team that's planning on bringing a veteran quarterback for next year that would absolutely pay him hands down, and that's the New York Giants. Let him walk to New York.
Who are you talking about? Foles or Prescott?
No, Wentz.
Dude. Oh, I just threw up my mouth.
That's what we want. That's what we want here.
I
We want to
wanna-
run these guys out of town.
I want to try to understand this mindset where people are like, he can't stay healthy. How old is Wentz?
Well, he was hurt a lot in college.
Okay, yeah.
25?
How old is Wentz?
25?
25.
Not hurt
okay.
a lot, but he got hurt in college.
What
Not a
what
lot, but he
are
got
the
hurt.
what are the good quarterbacks? What are they playing until now? How old are they? Aaron Rodgers is what, late 30s? How old is Phillip Rivers? How old is Eli Manning? Well, Eli Manning's not a good. Drew Brees. How old is Drew Brees? They're
They're-
playing into the mid 30s.
Carson Wentz isn't even in his prime.
He's not even in his prime
He's
yet.
2 or 3
So,
years away from his
someone
prime.
on the rise. You have a young talent on the rise, and you want to give up on that generational talent because he possibly might not be able to stay healthy. Okay, I'll put myself out there and I'll say I understand the risk. There is an injury risk that you are concerned about. I will say, okay, great. So you want to risk losing out on a potential generational talent because you're worried that he might get hurt?
Yes.
That he might get hurt?
Yes.
You take the damn risk because the reward of hanging on to
No.
a potential great
No,
talent
because we live in the moment.
is so much greater
No, we
than
live
the
in the moment.
risk of him getting injured again.
No.
If he gets injured again,
We li-
Okay, down
No,
the
'cause
line,
we
when
live
he's
in the
30
moment.
years old.
No, we
30
live in the
years old,
moment.
early 30s, mid 30s. If he keeps getting injured, let
no.
him go.
No.
Let him go.
No, because we
But
forget.
what happens? What happens if he hits
No.
his prime? What
No.
happens if he hits his potential?
No.
What happens? We
No.
have the next
No.
Aaron Rodgers. We
No.
have the next. Who you
No.
want to throw out there? The next great quarterback.
No, because we forget the fact that Carson. We were never even in that position without Carson Wentz last year.
Never.
We forget that.
Never.
We forget
were
that.
Never in that
Thank you,
position.
James Wilder. That the fact that people were screaming for Foles to hit the bench and when are we getting Carson back? Because he won against the Rams this week.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm
For
sorry.
270 yards,
sorry.
0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. 270 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
I think you just blew the mic.
Oh
out.
my God.
Oh, there
Sorry.
you are.
Sorry.
There you are.
Drives
Breaking
me nuts.
Just real quick, if you're a baseball fan, breaking news:
Oh,
Matt
dear.
Harvey signed with the Angels. The Angels really love their train wrecks, don't they, Ryan?
Ah.
Good Lord.
I got to Bird Gang. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's talking about Carson Wentz. He says, tell me a season that he's finished. Let me see. Drum roll. His rookie year.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean the conversation starts at ends at year one.
Yeah,
So.
that
one.
I would
Oh my
excuse Bird Gang
God.
if that was like 10 years ago,
Oh
but that
my
was
God.
See, Michael Dove says any quarterback can get hurt. Absolutely, they get hurt all the time.
Any quarterback
Let me ask
can
you guys a
get
question.
freaking hurt.
All right. So I'll name 4 young, very good quarterbacks, like the next wave, okay? What do they all have in common? Luck, Wentz, Mahomes, Watson. What do they all have in common?
I don't know. They can all move.
Very good. What happens? And
Oh, I
wouldn't
was
you
right.
agree that
Chuck's just like that was a
Yeah.
quarterbacks
They're mobile
that could
quarterbacks.
move like that
Right,
weren't
right.
around 10 years ago?
Correct.
No, they
So
were.
what do-
they were all statues in the pocket.
Okay.
What are
15 years ago, because yeah,
true? So what are quarterbacks that can move? What are they more likely to do?
Avoid the rush.
Well, no, they're
Right?
more likely to take a hit,
And
get hurt.
there you go. People panic when they see mobile quarterbacks, and because it's so funny. When we draft somebody that's mobile, we get excited because, oh my God, thank God we're not going to have an Eli Manning. We're not going to have a statue. Oh my God. They're so excited because he's mobile and he's excited to watch. But then when he gets hurt, it's, oh, why does he have to be mobile? He has to stay in the pocket. It's
anyone-
so you got excited because you got Wentz, but then you don't like Wentz because he's Wentz. Okay, that's fine.
Mike Garafolo made this awesome point when Bart Scott tried to tell him, he needs to be smarter. I don't like him running around so much. No one was complaining on Monday Night Football against the Redskins last year when he appeared out of that pile and ran for a first down. No one was ever complaining about that. So there's a give and take. You want the benefit of having a mobile quarterback. There is a downside that he's going to be running around. Yes, but is anyone complaining about Aaron Rodgers' mobility? Is anyone complaining about Russell Wilson's mobility? That's what makes them great. That's what makes them great.
That's what separates them from everybody else.
I'm going to read
One more comment before we take our break.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
wow, Jinx.
he says, yeah, I know. It's SJM86. He says,
What's up,
"Fellas,
SJM?
What's up?
My
Merry
man.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, brother.
He says, I've been avoiding all sports talk due to some of the fan base with their blasphemous talk regarding Foles over Wentz. I can't take it. Well, it's good to have you, SJM.
SJM, I am 100%
Well,
with you.
we are ecstatic, SJM, that you decided to make us your option, which everybody should, because this is why it's agree to disagree, guys. Whether we love it, whether we agree or disagree, we're all fam. We argue. That's what makes this so much fun. If you're over on the Facebook, please make the jump. If you're on Periscope, if you're on Instagram, make the jump. Link is at the top of the page. Get over to YouTube. We'll continue to have this battle over Foles and Wentz. We'll preview.
Be a battle.
I know, it's ridiculous. We'll preview Eagles and Texans. We'll go around the league. We'll have our
Pro
no
Bowl.
huddle.
Pro Bowl rosters.
Pro Bowl rosters were released tonight. We'll talk about those as well. C. Michael Dove, by the way, said Carson's going to be one of the best. That is our last Facebook comment we'll read. Make the jump, guys. We look forward to talking to you on the other side. Welcome back to Birds of a Feather, live on A2DRadio.com and on the YouTube. If you made the jump from Instagram, Periscope, and Facebook, we appreciate it. We had a lively chat in the first half. We look forward to continuing what will likely be a continued lively chat after a big win against the Los Angeles Rams this week, guys. You got Chrome. We got Linus. I'm sorry. I mean Chuck's in his blankie over here.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this.
We had to take a little bit of a break because
it's cold.
we had to get Chuck's up off the floor. He was cuddling his blankie and sucking his thumb from all the Nick Foles enthusiasts out there.
Stress blanket.
Stress blanket. We got Ryan Brodo over on the ones and twos. Show brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Also by Specialized Physical Therapy. You can find them in Princeton, Cherry Hill, Burlington, New Jersey. Find them on the web, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question, pretty simple. Who you giving your game ball to? Doug Peterson, Monty Maddox, Alshon Jeffrey, Fletcher Cox. Anybody else? I haven't heard a Foles one yet. Haven't had a game ball given to Foles yet. I'll say that.
For certain reasons.
As much as we've had the Foles enthusiasts out, I haven't had that happen yet. Rosca just told us Angels got Matt Harvey. We broke that earlier, buddy. But, yeah, no. I mean, we're back into it, guys. Where do you want to go with this? I don't even know where to start.
Someone as Foolish Demon did leave a comment of how many great quarterbacks have been hurt. He talked about Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Tom Brady missed the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees, Peyton Manning is the one where I'm like, we didn't mention that. Peyton Manning, the great Peyton Manning. The reason why he left the Colts.
Injury prone.
Because of his neck.
Injury prone.
Had surgery. Everyone's like, oh, no, he's done.
Imagine if Nick Foles was running that offense instead, guys.
Oh, my gosh.
7 Super Bowls.
7 Super Bowls.
Oh
9 to match his number.
7.
Come on,
17,
guys.
actually.
And then he also asked me real quick. He says, hey, Chucks, I want to get your opinion on Darrell Henderson. I actually just started watching some of his film. I know it's early for draft talk, but he's a guy that I saw. I got an alert saying he declared, so I watched like 2 of his games. So far, I'm impressed. He's a shorter back, but he's listed at 195, but he's got more muscle than 195 would tell you. It looks like he's got thick thighs, thick legs, so he's very strong in that area. Has good contact balance. Fights through tackles. I do want to see him use his weight better. He looks a little upright at times. Doesn't know how to shift from left to he could be shiftier than what he is. He looks like he's agile, but he doesn't drop his hips as much as he could. He doesn't take tackles head on as well because he has that nature where he wants to take them head on but he doesn't drop his shoulder too. So I kind of want to see more of that, and that goes for like. He'll be coached how to do that, but I like what I see so far. I think someone ranked him like the number 3 running back in the class projected right now, and I would not be surprised if that holds up. He's right around that area. He's a very impressive prospect that I didn't hear about before, but now I'm glad I watched a little bit. I'll watch more, and then so Foolish Demon as the months go on. We get closer to draft time. I'm going to do a lot of studying on all the running backs as I always do. So keep chiming in. If you have anyone else that you want me to look at, definitely bring it up each week. I'll definitely take a look at them.
Yeah, so back to quarterbacks. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's hurt. Is he not a still young and up-and-coming talent, a high prospect in this league?
Niners should just trade him. Trade him. They got Nick Mullins, right? Nick Mullins has won them. Nick Mullins won against the Seattle Seahawks, right?
I was going to say they have C.J. Beathard. He won 2 games.
Am I wrong? So they should just commit to Nick Mullins. He's another Nick. He can be Big Dick Nick number 2, the sequel.
See what Deion's doing right now?
No, what's Deion?
So he's fly feet, and he's like, guys, it's Deion. I'll switch over to my other YouTube page right now. LOL, be right back. 2 seconds later, boom! That easy. I'm back in the building.
Like Clark Kent and Superman over here, my man.
Deion's got burner accounts. He's got burner accounts.
I love it, Deion. Deion's our boy. He knows that.
Full Steven, great point. Deshaun Watson tore his ACL twice. Is anyone shipping him off?
Got him.
No.
Got him. Ship him off.
I'll take him. Actually, no. Philly doesn't like that because anybody that
Philly don't
pinky.
like that.
I'm pretty sure the Texans fans would say, can we sign Nick Foles or do we keep Deshaun Watson? They're going to say we're going to keep Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I mean, Deshaun Watson.
Pretty
did-
sure that 49ers fans are going to say, do we sign and commit to Nick Foles or do we keep Jimmy Garoppolo?
Or
They're going to
Nick
keep Jimmy
Mullins.
Garoppolo.
Or Nick Mullins.
Chuck's Chrome. Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Of course you can.
How many? Correct me if I'm wrong, but Deshaun Watson led the Texans to 9 straight victories this season, right?
Yes.
Yes, something like that, yeah.
How many victories did the Eagles have last year?
11. It was 11 or 12.
11 straight victories?
Yep.
Something like that.
Who was the quarterback?
Carson.
Carson Wentz.
How many more wins is 11 as opposed to 9? How many more wins?
Let's see. Carry the one.
can't do
That's
math.
someplace over.
I'm jet lagged. I can't do
I'm
math.
sorry.
Everything's 3.
It's 2, right?
2, yes. I was about to
So
say that.
that's more, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But people want to ship Carson out of town.
Sure they do, because it's Philadelphia. This is what we
Shame
do.
on me. I just had to clarify.
This is what we do.
Because Nick has a big dick. That's why.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I
Allegedly.
mean, it's been put out there. They did call him foot-long foals in college as well.
Mm.
That's a fact.
Wait,
That's a real thing. In college, they called him foot-long foals and Big Dick Nick. That's a real thing.
Wow, foolish demon coming in with another one. Donovan McNabb got hurt multiple times. He led us to 5 NFC Championship games.
Exactly. Ship him out. Well, we did.
We did.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But we
Whoops,
did when
did that.
But
when
we,
he was on his
but we did
downside.
when it was on the downside. We
Yeah.
kept him through his prime.
Oh,
Yep.
you mean we didn't ship him out in year 4 of his career? Like what they were doing? What?
That's what
people
everybody wants to do.
actually
We
happened
should have
there?
been. Who was our backup? Ty Detmer. We should have went with Ty Detmer. God damn it.
Mike
would've won
McMahon,
Super
Jeff
Bowls.
Garcia. All
7 Super Bowls, Chucks. Ty Detmer. 7
7.
Super
We
Bowls.
would have won 7 Super Bowls with Ty.
I just love people, man.
Big guy Ty would have won 7 Super Bowls.
Bryce Blackwell in the house. What's up, Bryce? He says, "Hey, yo, what's up, Bryce?"
What's up?
God.
Boy?
This is fun stuff, guys.
I can't even. We're off the rails.
Trade him.
Trade him.
Trade him.
Trade him.
Let
What
him
we-
walk. Let the Giants sign him.
Yeah. Oh, they don't need a
Come on,
quarterback,
guys.
right? They have Eli.
Oh my God, Bird
You
Gang.
got- yeah.
All right, so he says, bro, Foles played 2 of the best games ever, won a Super Bowl. Put some respect on his name. There's nobody here that has ever disrespected
I'm saying
his
he's
name.
Big Dick
It
Nick.
is- what
How
you're
am I
doing,
that-
what
am I
you're doing is absolute.
Stretch blankets.
Oh, Jesus Christ, cover your face. And I don't know what you're doing under that blanket with your hands
he's
under
got
there
his-
like that.
My
It's a
hands
little
are right
uncomfortable.
here.
Just gotta confirm.
It's not about disrespecting Nick Foles. Nobody here ever does. But it is absolutely disrespectful to completely just disregard and discard one of the potentially greatest young talents that's come along in the game in the last 10 years, years before he's even hit his prime, and has already had an MVP caliber season. This year was putting up better numbers than that MVP caliber season before he got hurt. People don't take everything else into consideration.
No, they don't.
That's it.
Just wins losses.
Nobody's not respecting Nick Foles.
I
See,
love Nick
and
Foles.
if you're new to the show, we welcome you. But I could tell you, particularly on this show, we were out of the gate immediately last season when Nick Foles came in and absolutely respected him.
Absolutely.
There's nobody here that disrespects Nick Foles. But what we don't settle for is people disrespecting the generational franchise talent that Carson Wentz is, because that's just absolutely blasphemy and ridiculous. That's what it is. Nick Foles right now is this team's quarterback for however long, we don't know. But I'm not mortgaging the future, the next 10 years, for the flavor of the month over a year or 2 years of potential success. That's not even going to even come close to guaranteeing a Super
Wow,
Bowl.
that's a great
Yeah.
point, foolish demon. It's a great point.
What'd you say? Imagine if Wentz played the way Foles did versus the Cowboys and Raiders.
From last year.
Oh yeah, but people want to forget that. And Foles couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Potentially is all I keep hearing. I take it into all consideration as should you Wentz. What are you talking about, dude?
It's ridiculous.
What is? I don't even know what he's saying.
Carson Wentz was.
He's saying we're Wentz drunk hosts and we're Carson lovers. Everybody's a Carson lover. Everybody is a Carson lover. There are guys don't go to teams to play with Nick Foles. Talent from in this league go to Philadelphia to have the chance to play with Carson Wentz. This is a guy who has not even close to his prime yet.
Yeah.
You clearly don't know the league. You don't know.
He doesn't.
Because
I'll say it right now.
We've just went through the quarterbacks that have had periods. Look at Andrew Luck missed 2.5 years of football, and now look at the year he's having. He's bringing the Colts back to relevance. Should the Colts have packed it in and bought in? They could have went out and traded for Nick Foles this year with a question mark for what Andrew Luck was going to be, but they didn't because they understand the talent that they have and what that means going forward. Nick Foles is a very good quarterback, easily the best backup quarterback in this league. And we said before the season started, we went down the list of starting quarterbacks in this league.
I ranked him
Would
top
you play?
20-ish, yeah.
We said, would you take him over this? I had him at 19.
I had him at
There were
20.
18.
last night on
There
Sports
was
House, yeah.
18 quarterbacks in this league that I would not that I would take over Foles, which puts him in a pretty good position.
Yep.
I think that puts him in a damn good position in this league, and he should have the opportunity to go start somewhere. But you have a chance at having sustained success for years to come with a young core, and everybody knows you build your team around a young quarterback. That's how teams like the Patriots and the Colts over however many years and Green Bay over however many years, all those teams eventually got to Super Bowls because they had a young franchise quarterback that was homegrown and groomed to help them to help them continue and sustain success and eventually get Super Bowls. Nick Foles, at best, maybe has two more good productive. I mean, he's older now. Let's not forget that Nick Foles is older now, too. And we have seen what he's done outside of Philadelphia. It hasn't been great.
After the Super Bowl year we had, and the NFL came up with the top 100, where was Foles ranked, and where was Wentz ranked by his peers?
Well, I know.
All right, so, I mean, Bird Gang says, I like Wentz. He's a beast, way more ceiling than Foles. But if he continues to get hurt and miss games, it's affecting the team as a whole. That's all I'm saying. And I understand that. And I think Chuck said earlier, we can understand the
injury concern.
But just take a step back and look at, okay, do we want to have one and done Super Bowl wins and do what we've continued to do in Philadelphia sports and live in the moment? We talked about, I mean, I don't know if you're a Phillies fan. We talked about the Phillies, right? They wrote it out way too long. They had that success, and they just wrote it out with those guys and didn't focus around the young talent
4.5 years
to continue to build.
Yep.
You can't have that.
People forget that Wentz this year, he's been playing with a still recovering knee, and he tore it in 2 places. Actually, no, 3 places. He was playing with a broken freaking back that wasn't being treated. And statistically, and I know everyone's like, oh, but statistically, it doesn't matter. On paper, on the field, he was playing the same as an average Tom Brady season with a broken freaking back and a less than 100% knee.
His numbers are actually similar to well, not as good, but they're close to being similar as his numbers last year.
And again, so Carson, listen,
he's actually on a better pace.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because of the early success, we just expect that he's automatically right now going to be that Hall of Fame quarterback, and he's not. He's still a young guy. He's only in his 3rd year. He has had the injury issue over the end of last year into the beginning of this year. But let's look at it. How many games has he really missed? He missed how many 2 regular season games last year? 3 regular
He
season.
He missed the last 3.
He missed the last 3, and he missed
the first 2.
If they don't even make the playoffs, you could write those off. So let's just say, I mean, really, most teams don't make the playoffs anyway, right? So you can include the playoff games, or you can take those out. And then he missed 2 games to start the year. He's missed 5 games, 5 regular season games, guaranteed games over 3 seasons. There are a lot of quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks, that miss games in this league.
And let me be very clear about another thing, too. People think that, they're going to be like, oh, but the next handful of games, now he's going to miss 3 more games. Let me just be very clear with this. Nobody's really understanding this except for, obviously, us. That is a team decision. He doesn't have to be missing these games. It's a team decision because of Foles. Let me ask you guys if you know. There's another quarterback, another star quarterback. that's playing with the same injury Wentz has. You know
Yep.
who that is? It's Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
They're playing him. It's an optional injury. The only reason why Foles is on the field, it's because they have so much invested in Wentz and because they have so much confidence in Foles.
And that's exactly right. Because it was stated ahead. It was reported that if the Eagles were in a must-win, lost this game, they may have gone back to Wentz because
Yes, absolutely.
it was going to depend on what you have the luxury of a Nick Foles. Other teams don't have the luxury of a Nick Foles. The Lions don't have that luxury. So if it's something you can play through, which clearly Carson played through a lot this season, then you can play through it. They don't need to do that. They don't need to force Carson out there. It gives him the break. And again, just kind of getting back to what we were talking about earlier, he's only really missed a handful of games. You could say the playoffs too. That's 8 games. Okay. That's the majority of the games that he's played this year. And he's not even in his prime. And Carson, the one thing I think that we saw this year was Carson has had some questionable decisions with the football at times, which we're not used to seeing. But a lot of that stuff was masked when we were blowing teams out last year. But a lot of it also has to do with the coaching. Because how many of these games this year would he have won if the defense held up their end? There's 2 17-point leads that were blown this year, by the way. And there's other games where the defense failed them to where it'd be a whole different conversation if the defense could have held some of those leads. Even times where they did tack on a couple of points, maybe not as much as we would have liked, to put them in a position to win, the defense couldn't hold it down in the end, including the Dallas Cowboys game.
Yeah.
We had a chance. Dallas handed us that game, and Carson did his job to take advantage of those mistakes by the Dallas Cowboys. It was the defense that failed in that game. So, I mean, really, sit back and break down game by game and how everything went. Let's not sit here and say, like you said, everybody wants to blame the quarterback or the head coach is another one.
Yeah.
It's always the head coach or the quarterback. Everyone wants to put all the blame on them or give them all the praise. It doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way.
It's so
That's
much
what
more
we're
complicated than that. So much more complicated than that. And that's what makes football beautiful is there's so much complication and stuff that goes into it. And to try to understand everything is so much fun. But if you just sell yourself short and just stick to wins and losses, QB wins and losses, you're cutting yourself short of what makes it good because it's not just about the QBs. QBs are important, yeah, but you're missing out on the offensive line. You're missing out on the wide receivers, the running backs, of the defense that they play their heart out. They play so well. Like, so stop just doing that. That's why it's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Dion says Carson is the future of this team. Nick Foles is a very good backup with the right system. Foles, is doing his job. Can be a starter somewhere else, yes, but full-time here it won't happen. Maybe Ryan can look this up. Foolish Demon asks, can we look up Brady's numbers after his ACL injury?
100%.
Dion says, I'm a Foles guy. Always have been. I don't think he should have been traded. I'm assuming the first time around, but that's me. Carson has a lot of work ahead of him, and it starts with him staying healthy. Sure, that's a fair assessment. Foolish Demon says, also, what happened when Matt Castle went 11-5? Should the Pats have benched Brady for him?
Exactly. Great point.
Absolutely fair point. Yeah, and then Dion says, hashtag Brodo on the ones and twos. Peace, brother.
What's up, Dion? Just correct me if I'm wrong, or confirm this for me. Which year did Brady, what was the injury?
2000.
I'll tell you.
2008, 2009, something like that.
Yeah.
2000. All right, so then I'll be looking at the stats for the 2009 season. All right.
8 or 9, yeah.
So, all right, so I have it right here. So he had 4,398 yards, 28 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. And a 96.2 quarterback rating.
Our Brady standards, that's actually pretty low.
Yep.
28 and 13.
Yep.
13 interceptions.
But Carson had better numbers.
Yeah, let me pull up Wentz. Let's pull up. And I know it's skewed because Tom Brady ended up playing more games, but let's see, Carson. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll get back to you in a minute.
Yeah, just think about it. 28 and 13. That's all. That's nearly a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
You ready for that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So through how many games did he play this season?
He's now played 11, something like that. Hold on. We have 14,
11 or
13,
12.
11. I think 11.
So after 11 games, Wentz had 3,074 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and his quarterback rating was 102.2,
Yep.
which was better than
Tom.
last year, which is 101.9. If people want to panic, let's go back to what he was in 2016, because everyone wants to say, oh my God, it's Wentz of 2016. No, Wentz of 2016 had a quarterback rating of 79.3, had 16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and total, the entire season, 3,782 yards.
And I think another thing that we miss, we've talked about it. You have Jason Peters is not the Jason Peters of old.
Yep.
Lane Johnson, for the most part this season, has had a very disappointing season.
Yeah, he didn't make the Pro Bowl.
You've seen a lot of, even with Jason Kelsey, who's had a rough year. He's had a lot of stupid penalties on the offense. The offensive line has done Carson no favors this year. He's taken a
None.
lot more hits this year. And I think coming back from a leg injury with some uncertainty, that's going to end up creating a problem for a guy who's still getting his footing.
People are going to say, oh, these are excuses. Ladies and gentlemen,
It's not an
education
excuse.
lesson. There's
not
a
an
difference
excuse, it's a
between
fact.
excuses and reasons.
That's a fact.
Number one, offensive line issues, either health or execution. A. Second thing, running backs have collapsed. Injuries. Ajayi, out. Clement, out. LeGarrette Blount, he's gone. I can continue. Obviously,
Darren Sproles was out
Out
he
for
missed
almost
this is
11
his third
games,
game.
11, 12 games, something
Yeah.
like that. So, and now we have to worry about Josh Adams, who's an undrafted rookie free agent. Wendell Smallwood, who 95% of the NFL or 95% of the fan base didn't think he would even be on our roster this year.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then Boston Scott. Really? We have to sign Boston Scott. Also, do we need to remember that Mike Grove flat out sucks? So he's not being put in the correct format. Oh, by the way, Carson Wentz is running the Nick Foles offense still.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how that makes sense. And a lot of the wide receivers who were playing out of their minds last year really aren't doing that.
And I almost wonder if that's a misread on the coordinator to run that, because maybe the coordinator's not as encouraged that Carson is ready to go all out this year, so he's trying to simplify it for Carson. But by doing so, it's almost a restriction on Carson and his ability to succeed.
That's a good point. I don't think it's that. I don't think Grove's familiar with the old Wentz offense.
And you're probably right about that. It's a fair point.
I don't think he's – and it's – I mean, somebody who does that for a living, it's very – at least on the outside, it seems something that he'd be very capable of figuring out, because I don't know, that's your job. But I think in that locker room, in that organization, especially with those coordinators, they're very stubborn with their way or the highway, and Grove's going to do him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And unfortunately, he started with Nick Foles, so they ran the Nick Foles system.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not change anything until, oh, wait, the Nick Foles offense has Nick Foles in it, so it's going
Exactly.
to work now.
Yep. Agreed. I think that's a very fair
I agree.
point.
And here's here's a good stat to throw out. Number of games played by an Eagles quarterback this year when the Eagles rushed for 3 touchdowns and forced 3 turnovers. Foles in 3 starts has had 1, which is against the Rams. Wentz in his 11 starts, none. Wentz has had no games this year where the offense has run for 3 touchdowns and forced 3 turnovers, or the defense has forced 3 turnovers. So Foles gets all that help, but Wentz doesn't. And when you talk about the system, I'm telling you guys, like, Wentz was asked to do Aaron Rodgers type things when he was playing. For a guy recovering from an ACL injury with an offensive line that wasn't performing as well, he was asked to do Aaron Rodgers type things of making something out of nothing. What was Foles asked to do this past Sunday? Dump it off short. Hand it off to the running back. You can't, like, there's no comparison. There is none. Like, just open your eyes and watch the game, and you'll be able to see. It's pretty clear. It's pretty damn clear. So I don't know. I'm almost tapped out because I don't know what else more we can say to this topic, because it's so elementary, but for some reason people want to make it so complicated.
Dion brings up a great point, too. He says, guys, defensively, I still say it's maybe time to move forward from Hicks.
Maybe it
Yes,
is.
It absolutely.
It absolutely
Wilson,
is.
This is for you, Chucks, because you're more of a college guy. He says Wilson from Bama can come in day one and have a major impact. I'm betting anything.
Wilson. What's his first name so I can 'cause I'm pretty sure Wilson's a common last name. But Dion, give me his first name and I'll be on the lookout for him. From Bama, he's probably going to be early day pick, so probably round 1, round 2. I mean, we have a lot of needs, but if he's the best player available, go get him. Go get him.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of needs. Like this draft, this is why months ago I said I wanted all these picks because we're going to have a lot of holes, guys. We're going to have a lot of holes on this roster depending on who comes and who goes. There are potential we can be losing a lot of people. Not only the players that are going to be unrestricted free agents this year, but you have guys like Rodney McLeod that are going to be making a lot on their contract, and it will be financially understandable for us to cut him or waive him. So it's possible Rodney McLeod isn't even on this team. So you have a lot of holes.
Some very interesting decisions this
Yes.
And I think McLeod may have been a guy that would have stuck on, but because you have Michael Bennett and the year he's had, that's a contract that they had talked about may have been a cap casualty after the 1 year. That you may be looking at that deal going or him staying.
Yeah.
Bird Gang asks, why can Hicks go? Why not keep him? He's a monster.
Because he can't stay healthy.
I haven't seen him be a monster. You want to
keep
field.
Wait. You want to keep Jordan Hicks, but you want to let Carson Wentz go.
A guy who's replaceable over a generational talent.
You can actually say that somebody who actually is injury prone is Jordan Hicks.
I understood that right, correct?
Yeah.
Am I understanding that right?
And Foolish Demon says you want to talk about injuries. Hicks has been hurt every season.
And Nigel Bradham has played better when Hicks is not next to him.
That's true too.
And that is a fact.
That is actually. Yeah, you look at the you look at the numbers.
You want to know why Nigel Bradham disappeared at the beginning of the season? Because Jordan Hicks was there. That's exactly why.
And even if Hicks was like an elite talent, like elite, you're talking about Luke Kuechly type of talent, I'd be like, you gotta take that risk. I like him. You know, he did have one season where he played all the games, so his talent is worth it. I'd be saying that. And that's what we're saying with Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Foolish Demon says he's literally been hurt every season since college. Literally every season.
Literally
every season.
I think
maybe since high school.
I think 2016 he played all the games though, so I'll give him that. But
he was banged up consistently.
Yeah. So I totally understand, and he's a good talent. He's no elite talent.
Mac Wilson, Dion says Mac Wilson 6'2", 238 pounds listed right now in quotes. Everyone checks in different when they get to the cup.
Yeah. They're gonna
We'll keep an eye out on him.
Thanks, Dion. Ooh, draft season's coming up in a few months.
I don't even want to get to the draft season. We're not talking that shit.
We're talking playoffs right now.
We got
possible playoffs.
So. Yeah. So any games around the league you would like to discuss?
Well, let's talk about the Pro Bowl. Real quick update, 36 seconds left. 3-2 Flyers. Red Wings have their goalie pulled. So we will update you on that. But
smell overtime.
Pro Bowl.
Carter Hart gave up 2 goals. Trade him.
Trade
Get rid of him.
Trade Carter Hart.
Get rid of him.
2 goals. Out of here. Disappointment. Can't keep the puck out on the net.
Bring in Martin Brodeur.
At least he stayed healthy for most of his career.
Yep. What is
Bring
he,
back
50 now?
Yeah. Bring back Bernie. Bring back Bernie Perron. He's the one that won us the cups.
That golden-haired that golden-haired fox, that stud.
I think Hextall's available to play.
Well, he don't have an executive job anymore.
I think he's available.
And Carter Hart wins his first NHL start, 3-2.
So shout out to
Nation.
Carter
Good
Hart.
stuff. Good start.
First W under the belt for
Thank
Carter
God.
Hart.
Now everyone's going to say he's a god. There's no between. Like, oh my God, why did we see him 2 years ago? It's guys, he was still in high school.
I know. Okay, so Pro Bowl. All right, so let's break down. Let's start with the AFC first. And I've been reading the NFL.com's snubs, and there are some
real quick. I love you, Roski. He says, Ryan Brodo, Mike Chromiak, Chucks, thank you for trolling me on my Rams. We'll get you back in the divisional round. First of all, David Roski, you've been trolling every show all week. Don't dish it out if you can't take it, brother, because we let you have it. We even said you're probably right. Not going to argue back with you. And then you got sent home. So don't come at me with. You sound like the idiot that was sitting behind me, buddy. Come on. He also asked his lazy booking on this week. This is our last show for a month. So, yes, we are on this week.
Cool.
Thursday night.
AFC Pro Bowl rosters by position.
Foolish Demon Carter Hart. I love his jackets.
All right, so wide receiver first. NFL.com says wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, Antonio, Keenan Allen. Okay, so far so good. Tackle Taylor Lewan, Alejandro Villanueva, and Eric Fisher. Oh, Eric Fisher. Nice. Guard David DeCastro. Nothing new. Marshall Yanda. Quentin Nelson. Nice. The rookie. The beast rookie getting in. The center, Marquise Pouncey and Mike Pouncey.
The Pouncey brothers.
The Pouncey brothers. Nice. Tight end, Travis Kelce and Eric Ebron.
I thought he was a bust.
They with Andrew Luck, as much as he likes to throw to the tight end, he's finally
He was on my fantasy.
producing.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love him.
QB, Patrick Mahomes, Phillip Rivers, and Tom Brady. And then at running back, you got James Conner, Melvin Gordon, and Philip Tasmanian Devil Lindsay. Nice. Lucky. I love it. Fullback Anthony Sherman. There's really no one else. I mean, yeah. Defense.
Vacant.
Vacant. Defense. Defensive end, J.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, Melvin Ingram. Interior defensive linemen, Geno Atkins, Jarrell Casey, and Cameron Hayward. Outside linebacker, Von Miller, Jadeveon Clowney, and D. Ford. Inside linebacker, C.J. Mosley and Bernardrick McKinney. Cornerback, Xavier Howard, deservedly so. Jalen Ramsey, Stephon Gilmore, deservedly so. And Denzel Ward. Free safety.
Jalen Ramsey, what a crumb, by the way. He's trying to strong-arm the organization into making a commitment to him years before his contract's over.
Yeah.
What a crumb.
Free safety, Derwin James, nice. Derwin James and Eric Weddle. He's still chugging along, nice. Strong safety is Jamal Adams. The real reason. Oh my God.
Great post by A2D Radio, by the way.
Strong safety, Jamal Adams. Special teams, kicker, you got Jason Myers. Long snapper to be named by coach. Punter is Brent Kern. Return specialist, Andre Roberts. Special teamer, Adrian Phillips. On to the NFC. Wide receiver, Julio Jones. Michael Thomas. Adam Thielen. Devontae Adams. That's actually a surprising group. Tackle, Tyron Smith. Teron Armstead. And Trent Williams. Guard, Zach Martin. Brandon Brooks from your Philadelphia Eagles. Made it. And Trey Turner from Carolina Panthers. Center, you got Alex Mack and Max Unger. Tight end, you got one and only, Zach Ertz. And George Kittle, beast, from the 49ers. Quarterback, you got Drew Brees, Jared Goff, and Aaron Rodgers. Running back, Todd Gurley, Saquon, and Zeke. And the fullback, you got Kyle Juszczyk. On the defensive end, Cameron Jordan, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Daniil Hunter. Interior lineman is Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox, and Akeem Hicks. Outside linebacker, Khalil Mack, Ryan Kerrigan, Anthony Barr. Inside linebacker, Luke Kuechly and Bobby Wagner. Cornerback, Kyle Fuller, nice. Patrick Peterson, Darius Slay, and Byron Jones. Free safety, Eddie Jackson and Harrison Smith. Strong safety, Landon Collins. Kickers, Aldrick Rosas. Long snapper to be named by coach. Punter, Michael Dixon. Return specialist, Tariq Cohen. And special teamer, Corey Littleton. So, snubs. Let's go through. I'm going to go through a few of them. Leighton Vander Esch from the Cowboys. Alvin Kamara. Oh, man, that is a big snub. Alvin Kamara. Christian McCaffrey.
Surprised he didn't.
Yeah, that one was a big surprise to me.
Desmond King, corner. Wide receiver, Mike Evans. Defensive end, Chandler Jones. Offensive tackle, Andre Whitworth, who I would have put instead of Tyron Smith. But that's just me. Ramczyk, I also would have put over ahead of Tyron Smith. T.Y. Hilton,
That's a surprise.
Adrian Peterson, Will Lutz, and Justin Tucker. So, yeah, the big snubs to me are the 2 tackles and Alvin Kamara. Who are the NFC running backs again? So the NFC running backs were Saquon, Zeke, and Todd Gurley. Kamara, what happened? Oh yeah, I read. I would have put Kamara over Zeke, but I can understand Zeke. So I guess it's
Zeke's been playing out of his
very,
mind
very well
with the opposing, with the exception of this week.
Yeah. I mean, any other snubs that you guys can think of, or anything that jumps out at you?
I'll be honest. I don't really get too high or low on the Pro Bowl. I don't really care about it. It's the least meaningful or exciting of all All-Star games.
All-Star games, yeah, it is.
There's only one
I don't even
bowl
like
I care about.
I don't even like the fact that they play it.
Oh yeah.
If they want to just name guys to the team,
and then
I'd be fine with that. But I don't
first, kind of like they do in the NBA, kind of. And I know they have an All-Star game, but like first team, second team, like those things.
Yeah.
Like I think that's appropriate.
Well, they have like the All-Pro teams. So I mean, I put more weight into the All-Pro teams. It's but I mean.
And the NFL does so many rankings, like we talk about, like NFL Top 100, all those things. I put more weight into those. Like everybody that watches football should know who the best football players are. We don't need to all see them in a game.
Yeah.
Especially the week before the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I always felt
players don't care.
You talk about a game that like something could go wrong.
Yeah.
That's the one sport I don't need to see in all.
Especially if the day before their game they have like a dodgeball tournament and they're like streaming it on NFL Network. That really shows like, this is really not that important.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not. But hey, I mean, congrats to all those who didn't make it.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
And there are a bunch of rookies on there. So deservedly so. Good to see, and the one guy I'm glad that got in there that jumps out at me out of the rookies is Derwin James. He's my pick for defensive rookie of the year. He's so good. So where are we? We are at 9:45. Wow.
You want to give us a couple key points this week against the Texans?
Yeah. So this is the thing. This is what I'm worried about with the Texans, and I touched on it. That defensive line and their front seven is very good. I mean, you're talking about players. We just named a couple of them that just made the Pro Bowl in J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, and Bernard McKinney. Like, that is a talented front four. Those three make up a talented group. So, for the Texans, they are going to give our offensive line all they got. Like a lot, our offensive line is going to have to play so well to protect Nick Foles, and they're going to try to shut down this run offense. Like they're going to take away the run and force Nick Foles to make throws, and so Nick Foles is going to have to make throws. Nick Foles can't be expecting to throw short all game because it's not going to get anywhere. I'm telling you right now, he has to make these deep throws in the intermediate and deep levels of the field. That would be my game plan. You have to open up those routes more. And then on the defensive end, our defensive line is going to have to play the same way they have been the past few weeks, because that Texans O-line isn't that great. So we had to take advantage of that, because if we don't get pressure consistently, those wide receivers will tear us apart. They have obviously DeAndre Hopkins. Mm-hmm. They have Demaryius Thomas, who's still good. He's still good, especially as a number 2. And you know who's been playing well for them the past few weeks? Former Eagle, DeAndre Carter. And I was laughed at when I said, hey, we shouldn't have released him. And look what he's doing with the Texans. So I'm telling you, if our defensive line, they have to wreak havoc, or else it's going to be a long game. So those are the keys on each side of the ball. Foles has to throw deep. He has got to be aggressive, and a defensive line has to take advantage of that mediocre offensive line. Yeah.
Anything to contribute, Ryan?
Well, because I did this last week, I'll do the same thing because they ended up winning. I'll save it for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll save it for tomorrow.
Yeah. Which, if you want to hear Brian.
You can call me whatever. If they win, you can call me whatever the hell you want.
If you want to hear Ryan's breakdown check out The Fix tomorrow night at 6 p.m., right?
Yes, sir.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on A2DRadio.com.
I do want to say, well, I'll wait until No Huddle.
Well, I think we're going to dig
who's the
into
time?
No Huddle.
So I
I'm
do,
trying to figure out what my No Huddle is going to be. I didn't have time to work on one this week.
if you want, because I have one that is
Yeah, go
regarding
ahead.
the Eagles.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a smaller topic. I want to see if you guys picked up on this. I'm sure you guys did.
Okay.
So, along with your players of the game, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but out of those four, it was Alshon, it was Avante, it was Nick, and who was the
Fletcher.
fourth? And it was
No, it wasn't Nick. It was Doug,
Doug.
Fletch.
Okay.
Alshon, and Avante. Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying the guy I'm about to bring up was the player of the game by any means, but I think it's interesting. So, I think on the offensive side of the ball, there's a certain player that really hasn't been seen this year, but it was a part of the Super Bowl team last year. And I thought the unit in which he's in played very, very well. And I think it's a little bit more than a coincidence when he's put in there how much better that unit and overall side of the field plays. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
I'm talking about Stefan Wisniewski.
Mm-hmm.
I find it very interesting and more than a coincidence that when Ciamalo is eliminated from this due to injury and Wisniewski is added, the offensive line clicks more. There was no sacks allowed when you had Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh going against you. We weren't playing the Bengals defense, which is the worst defense in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't playing the Chiefs defense, which is the worst rushing defense in the league. We were playing the Los Angeles Rams front four with, I'll say it again, Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. Zero sacks allowed.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why Stefan Wisniewski was not in the offensive line as far as a starter earlier this season because he was hurt. I understand that. But also, we heard rumors, and I think we talked about it on this show earlier this season, that the structure of the offensive line, in the coordinator's opinions, did no longer fit Wisniewski. And I remember complaining and being very upset about that because it made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
You had an offensive line that was without Hall of Famer Jason Peters that kept Nick Foles healthy and protected all last season heading into the playoffs and obviously through the Super Bowl. Why do you eliminate him and say he's not structurally capable in this offense and replace him with, and no disrespect to him, but with Isaac freaking Seumalo? Wisniewski being added, I think, is huge for this offensive line. There's something with him. It just matches. And I think that's huge.
Here's what I will say. You have a fair point, but to me, the last few weeks, Seumalo has played well. And
He's played better, yeah.
This is what I will say. And to me, it's give and take. To me, if you look at overall, replacing Wisniewski and with Seumalo or vice versa, overall, it's just status quo in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because Wisniewski absolutely is definitely the better pass protector. So if you're going to argue that we needed better pass protection because Wentz is in there, totally understand. That's a fair point, and I will not disagree with that. And you could make that point, and you'll get no argument from me. But on the other side, I will also say that you also got to consider that the offensive line was struggling early on, and Seumalo, even when he was a little worse than he is now, early on in the season, he was already a better run blocker than Wisniewski. Wisniewski was struggling mightily in run blocking, and so they needed someone who could be still solid in pass protection, but increase productivity in the run blocking area. So that's why they made the move. Is it in the end the better move? I don't know. I can't say either or. But to me, it's not. I get where you're coming from, but to me, it's really not that huge of a deal because they are around the same level of player overall. They just have different styles. Where Seumalo is a better run blocker, Wisniewski is the better pass blocker. Pick what you want, but I mean, they're overall like about the same type of player. They're solid, and I think that having both of them, I mean, I think the other argument you can make for Wisniewski not being benched or he should have never been benched, was that he started in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And he deserves a little bit of a longer leash.
Yeah.
And so I get that. So I totally understand. In the end, I think that Seumalo showed so much improvement. They wanted to go with a younger guy with a better run blocker, and they put faith in him that he would progress as the season went on. So
Okay.
I do have a no huddle.
Yeah, go.
It's very simple, but I do want to give it because I love baseball and I love to see guys who deserve, guys who are students of the game, guys who understand the game and have a lot that they can contribute, particularly guys who played and respect the game and want to give back to it, getting opportunities. So the Yankees hired Carlos Beltran as a special assistant to the general manager. And I could tell you, one of the most underappreciated players of his time, a lot of it was in New York, where those fans will even tell you, a lot of guys I know that are Mets fans never appreciated the way he should have been in New York. He was loved everywhere else he went. Clearly, he made a major impact in a very limited role with the Astros team that won a World Series. He's a guy that a lot of people are looking at that could be a very hot managerial prospect going forward. One of the smartest guys that a lot of guys who've played with him have said. He really understands the game. And he's another guy who gives back to the game because in Latin America, he runs a baseball academy. And it does open up opportunities for people in Latin America who maybe wouldn't have those kind of opportunities. I think it's an absolutely brilliant move by the Yankees, whether you love or hate the Yankees or not, to bring this guy in and give him an opportunity. And anyway, I just want to say congrats to him because that is a very, very well-deserved guy, a class act. And I'm telling you, keep an eye because whether it's with the Yankees or it's with another team, I would bet my life that he is going to be a brilliant manager one day and win a World Series with a team.
Nice.
What do you got, Chuck?
I don't really have much. I mean, just a little tidbits.
It's like a slow week for this. Like,
it is.
You know
yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
been a slow week. I will say that keep an eye that the Eagles still, and I forgot to mention this earlier. That's why I'm mentioning it now. Eagles still haven't placed Wentz on IR.
Yeah.
So if they really believe,
if they believe Foles is the guy,
they would have put him in IR.
Yeah.
So something tells me that maybe they're still holding out hope that if they make it to the playoffs. Like I'm not saying I prefer one way or the other.
No.
I'm just saying.
Well,
like,
it's even if you have him in a
IR.
backup role. There's a.
True. Yeah. Maybe if something does happen to Nick, they're like, okay, Wentz will be healthy enough where he can step back.
Or even as an
I don't know.
Even as an emergency quarterback.
Emergency quarterback. Yeah.
I
don't know.
I'm not directing it at you, Chucks, at all because I know you understand this. To everyone on Facebook, like for example, this morning, A2D put up. Agree or disagree, when should we put on IR? And I put disagree, and a ton of people had a problem with that. Let me ask you a simple question for anybody that thinks I'm an idiot for saying no. Do they need the roster spot? No. What if Foles gets hurt? What if we make the playoffs and Foles gets hurt? Who would you rather have available?
Sudfeld
or Wentz?
Studfeld? You mean
Studfeld? But we need to find out if Studfeld can play. No, we don't.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
I see both sides of the argument because I know some people are like, they want to be extra cautious with Wentz. So it's either Nick Foles or nothing. If Nick Foles goes down, then so be it. It wasn't the year. So I understand that, but it can't, like you said, Chrome, it can't hurt to just keep him off IR. You don't need the roster. Or you said it, Brodo. Sorry. Can't hurt to just keep him on the roster. What's the point of putting him on IR? You don't need the roster spot.
It's like a non-issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will add one tidbit to baseball as well, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit. I haven't really made a formal, point of. I know, what I did a couple weeks ago on mine, but Phillies with this whole Bryce Harper, Manny Machado thing.
Harper's going to sign with the Dodgers.
I'm fully in on my theory that I told you when we were talking pre-show from 4 weeks ago. And I said this to Brinkman last night. He's in on it. He understands it. And I hadn't talked to Brinkman about it. I'm fully in on the conspiracy theory that once we are not able to get Harper, or maybe we're out on him, because it doesn't seem like we're that in on him, at least organizationally, I am fully in on that we will not only get Machado, our outfield will have Giancarlo Stanton in it.
I mean, I told you I'm not ruling that out as a possibility, particularly with a Yankees team that loves young pitching. You have Sixto and Eflin as two huge trade chips, and an Odubel Herrera who has a very team-friendly contract.
And if you poll 1,000 Yankees fans tomorrow and you say, what is your opinion of Giancarlo Stanton, 900 of them would be negative.
Oh, sure.
So there's a window to do it, and that's an absolute – sure, people could say, oh, but no, they'll just wait until next year to get Trout. Sure, that's fine, but do they want to wait? And also, you can go get Trout next year, and you can still have Giancarlo. You know what I mean?
That's if you can get Trout next year.
Well, exactly. You can always trade for Giancarlo. You're going to be in one of the highest bidding wars maybe in the last 20 years of baseball with Mike Trout.
Right.
Even if he gets to free agency.
Right.
Because we've talked about for months, the Angels can come to him with a stupid lifetime contract that's been rumored for 2 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, Giancarlo, Machado, Philadelphia, I'm in.
I mean, honestly, I said this to Tom. He thinks I'm nuts. I think if you miss out on Harper, I think they'll probably get Machado. I think I'm out on Machado. I think I just hold off till next year and back the Brinks truck up for Nolan Arenado.
See, so Machado's going to be here on Thursday. I don't think he leaves without a contract.
We'll see. It's possible. I'm not ruling it out for them.
I think we're going to be live on Lazy Booking, and the news is going to hit.
Well, it's only going to be me and you this week, buddy. So
a lot of room for activities to party.
There
at least
sure
for me.
is.
At least for me.
Nah, I mean, I hear you. And another quick tidbit that we didn't really mention, but obviously Dave Hackstall was fired this week from his job.
Yep.
Early reports were that Joe Quenneville was going to be the replacement after the holidays, but it seems now that, they haven't gotten permission to speak with him necessarily, that he is likely to sit out until next season.
Oh, damn.
But I think we're all on board. That's who I want to be the head coach of this hockey team going forward.
Please.
I think it'll get done, whether it's beforehand or I hope that they're just kind of throwing a smoke screen to downplay it. But we'll see.
I just want this season, as a Flyers fan, you guys tell me if you agree with this.
I just want it to be over.
Well, this season's already a lost season, which is crazy to say.
This is what I'll say. It's
how
not
bad things are.
It's not a total lost season now that they have brought up Carter Hart, because this is going to be a pivotal season for his growth.
It's about
So it does breathe a new life into the season.
It does.
It doesn't
I'm
bring
not gonna lie, it does.
doesn't breathe the same kind of life that we're watching with maybe different eyes as opposed, we're not worrying so much about wins and losses, but we're watching another guy who could be an elite player in this league.
Yeah.
A guy who we haven't had a goaltender since a Ron Hextall really on this team. He's a guy that could finally be that heir apparent. He's the guy that, I talk about the Dolphins and still haven't had a quarterback to replace Dan Marino.
Could be the guy.
This has been the same for us as a Flyers fan and a Flyers fan base, trying to replace a goaltender that hasn't been here since the early 90s.
Please, Philly, don't run him out of town.
I believe that, I will say this. The news of them bringing him up, I was kind of like, is it too early?
Gosh, it's too early.
But it wasn't because of him, right? It was about what he was coming up to.
Correct. I'm concerned with that.
It's kind of – you guys remember – not trying to go back to the Eagles, but remember when we heard Wentz, he's returning week 3. What was the worry? It wasn't, Wentz is coming back. We're worried. It's Wentz is coming back to – what is he coming back to? Because the O-line sucked and was hurt, and Alshon wasn't back yet.
Right.
And Jay Ajayi just got hurt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was a lot to be worried about. Absolutely. So, I mean, I definitely think –
There's TTP. He chimes in the final 2 minutes.
Damn you, TTP.
He always does
Why do you always do that?
Hello,
You
hello,
missed
TTP.
a lot.
Hello,
No,
TTP.
but
We got to do it all over again. Come on.
No, I definitely think that there is something now to watch for. It breathes a new life into this season. It's not a lost season. Because I could tell you, before that news of bringing him up, I was ready for the season to be done.
I was too.
It sounds terrible, but
I was too. I couldn't watch more than 10 minutes of Flyers hockey.
They are tough. Unless I'm at a game, which is just fun to be in the atmosphere of a game. I'm really kind of over it at this point this season.
I know.
I'm ready to wipe the board clean and start.
I might
fresh.
actually later on in a few months. I might actually go buy some tickets. I wasn't gonna do that because Mary's been dying to go to a Flyers game. She's very curious.
Yeah, I'm going to a
and
Penguins game in February.
I
That's
wanna-
my next game, I think.
I might want to go get tickets for this season because I want to see Carter Hart. I want to see.
Don't go to a game that I go to. The opposite of the Eagles is the Flyers.
So
we were talking before we came on the
Penguins
air.
Loss.
I have
Flyers.
I've seen the Eagles lose one game since '99. In '99, I went to an Eagles-Dolphins game. Marino and Doug Peterson were the starting quarterbacks. The Eagles lost
man.
that game. Since then, I have only seen the Eagles lose one game at FedEx Field. I am undefeated of games I've gone to since 90. Well, I only have one defeat since 1999.
Lincoln Financial Field, or you said FedEx Field?
No, I was at FedEx Field.
Oh,
I
okay,
haven't
okay,
seen
okay.
a home loss, but now
Gotcha.
I've beaten. I watched them win on the road this week, so
Yeah, you did.
that just feeds into it. So no, I have not seen them. So the opposite though is I've only seen the Flyers my entire life win one hockey game that they won 7-3. Every other game they've gotten absolutely smoked. I'm talking. I don't think I've seen them lose by less than 3 goals to any game I've ever been to.
Wow.
So do not go to the same hockey games as me. Go to the same Eagles.
I've been to
games as me.
3 Flyers games in my lifetime, and they've won all 3. So,
Well, shut up.
I mean, it's a small sample size.
At least I got Gritty now. He entertains me.
Yeah.
I want to add one. Well, first off, so TTP says, "Excuse my tardiness."
What's up, TTP? We'll always excuse
not
your
excuse,
tardiness, bro.
no.
Says, busy time of year for me. Listen, you're not the only one. And then he says, "Glad to say yo. Glad I got to say yo before y'all ended."
Well, we love it, buddy. We always love when TTP drops in.
You
And
want to ask him the one question? Fools or wins?
TTP, I'll ask you that tomorrow. Tomorrow,
Where does
with,
TTP
with the
stand?
cast of characters on this couch tomorrow. I mean,
Oh,
that might,
my God.
that might be the entire show.
Yeah.
Just that one question. I do want to say for my final no huddle, I want to formally apologize to James Wilder on behalf of Cam Newton
Oh, yeah.
because him and I played in the A2D Fantasy League. It was 1v1 last night, and it was very close. It was Will Lutz. I had the kicker on New Orleans, who I properly named my team Lutz Win
Lutz
Another
Win
because he was my
Another.
kicker last year. And he had Cam Newton. You would think Cam Newton would, because he's a quarterback and he's not a kicker, he would get more points. No, he was good for 4.3 points, and I won by 7.
Cam Newton.
Yikes.
So I'm reigning, defending, now
Undisputed.
undisputed
James got-
A2D Fantasy World Heavyweight
You got
Champion.
one more
There it
round.
is.
You got one more round,
No,
right?
it's over.
I thought the other league.
They
Oh, they're
folded.
not doing that?
They
You
folded.
You
They
can't.
folded?
You can't combine it.
No, but that's what Tom was saying. They were
Right.
gonna
And then
play-
I
yeah.
talked sense
Yeah.
into him 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago and said, Tom, how can you have two
Oh.
separate leagues have a championship? It wipes everything clean after the last week.
Okay, cool.
You're Mr. Vespi. He says, "Thanks for the preview, Mr. Brodo. See you tomorrow."
But
Well,
nice.
you are the yeah.
Listen, guys, as always, tomorrow night you got the fix at 6. You got AM and the PM tomorrow night.
I want to start using that.
What?
The fix at 6.
The fix at 6.
you.
Boom.
Jet lag Chrome. Jet lag Chrome.
I'm an
It's
idea
like
man.
it's like Hoodie Mellow. Jet lag Chrome.
There's the tagline: "Catch the bro dough on the fix at 6." It makes all too much sense.
Yeah, we'll work
Chuck's
on it.
took it
We'll
over
work
there.
on
He
it.
took it over there.
Hey, come on.
Stress blanket.
We got AM and the PM tomorrow night as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
I promise that I won't
9:30.
hijack the show like I did last week coming from drinks. And obviously Thursday, we have Lazy Booking. This will be our last Lazy Booking for about a month, and then we'll be back.
You guys won't
after
be
the
on
Rumble.
next week, right? Because of the
Oh.
Oh, yeah, shit. We're not on next week, guys. Whoops. Well, I'll get
There's
to that.
there's a little something, I
I'll
guess.
get to
Oh,
that.
I was just saying, I won't be available.
Or the week after.
Oh my God! So it's the last.
Did you hear me? Oh, my
Wow.
God.
Oh, my
Oh, my God. Hold on.
Oh my God!
It's like emotional. I might need to go a few extra minutes just to get our.
Oh, we won't be here for
the last
3
Birds of a
weeks.
Feather of
For
2018.
3
Is this
Oh,
the last
wow.
Birds
Oh, my
of a Feather of 2018?
God.
You sons of bitches.
Wow.
So-
All right, we have to. Okay, okay.
Well, hold on. We'll get
Out of
to that.
nowhere. Okay.
We'll do that. Let me run down the rest of the shows so everybody knows what we got. We did have some new listeners.
We're
So
idiots.
we have Lazy Booking on Thursday at 7:30. That'll be a break to it. Damn, I'm gonna be off for a while.
Bye, Chrome.
I might not be back, guys. And then obviously Friday we have what is the show?
The Philly Sports Guys.
The Philly Sports Guys.
Yeah,
I
they're
did check
great.
out some of their show. They were really
PSG.
good. Saturday the Hooligans. Sunday Agree to Disagree. The Flagship. Monday, but they'll probably be off next week too.
Yeah, they are. They're same boat as you.
Yeah, so
last show until 2019 for them.
Typically on Monday we have the Sports Hounds, but they'll be off, and then we won't be back next week because it's Christmas.
By the time we'll be back, we'll know if the Eagles are in the playoffs.
And
or
then
not.
the week after it'll be New Year's.
We might be next time you guys are on the air, we might be previewing
first round.
See, you guys, I'm not mentioning that kind of stuff.
We said might.
Shut up.
We were previewing the Bears-Eagles NFC Championship game last week. And look what that got us. A win.
Which is why we can't do it this week, because we already started doing it.
Oh
Frank
my
says,
God.
I'm in favor of a Birds with a Feather Christmas special. Okay, Frank, you produce. I'm not available. I'm glad you volunteered.
But, hey, listen.
Can it be a Skype kind of show?
Maybe not that. No, we're not totally off, because we might be doing a round table. Well, we're more than likely doing a round
that's
table.
true.
But we're not
That's
totally
true.
off. You can still see these.
You'll
Well,
see us.
this beautiful face. I don't know about
Yeah,
that
this
one.
Asian
but-
ugly face. Fat face. I need to lose weight. I have
But
a
no.
wedding in 8 months.
Hey, listen, real quick, 2 seconds to reflect on 2018.
I love this music, by the way.
I
It's
do too.
perfect.
It makes me feel so good about life right now.
I'm
Real,
crying.
real quick to reflect on 2018. It's been a great year. It's been a fun year at A2D. And we got to see a Super Bowl win this year, guys,
did.
which was awesome for us. So I'm looking forward to kicking off 2019 the right way with some Birds wins,
Yes.
with the Cardinals signing Bryce Harper to go with Paul Goldschmidt, because Paul Goldschmidt got traded to the St. Louis Cardinals, by the way, Ryan.
Dion Brun says, I'd love to sit on the show one day, guys.
Dion, open
Absolutely.
seat. Listen, man,
I would love that.
hit us up in the DMs, Dion.
Slide into our DMs.
Slide into the DMs. We'll work it out. It's 2019, early in
us up.
2019, we'll find a spot for you, and we'll
Yep.
make sure we get you in here, brother, because I'd love to have you on.
Definitely.
We always have an open spot. We're not a full couch always. so-
Sometimes we have 3 open spots.
Yeah. Depends on my
I'm
schedule.
not even lying.
It depends on my schedule, you know. I'm a busy guy, you know, or I get sick. Anyway, been a good year for us, Chucks. Fun year, as always. Looking forward to carrying out in 2019 with the fam. Mr. Brodo, we go into another year together.
Oh, boy.
Stuck with me another year.
We're stuck with the bro.
And I just want to say, guys, honestly, thank you for everything this whole year. It's been amazing. Thank you for sticking with us. And
I feel like
we
this
do
is
hope-
like A2D Hallmark.
I know, right? We do wish you guys
10 seconds.
we do wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if we
Yeah.
don't see you. So thank you again.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, guys. Thank you to our, we're going to go past it. Thank you to the sponsors, Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant, making yours, GibsonMayer.com, Specialized Physical Therapy, Scanzano Sports. Thank you to the Godfather, and thank you to the fam.
that's
We
awesome.
love you guys. Until then, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Fly,
We'll
Eagles,
see you
fly.
next year. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Let's
Let's
go.
go.